April 14th, Jocks 94.5. Glad you're tuned in. We have a busy show for you today. Paul Finebaum with us in 15 minutes. Austin Price of VolQuest at 8 o'clock. Hugh Freeze, Auburn head coach, at 9. I'm going to go ahead and apologize to Greg McElroy because of who won it, how he won it, what it was. Normally on this show would probably take the lead, but not when a high-profile SEC quarterback decides that he's going to bail on his football team or his team decides that they're going to pull the ripcord on him and move on. We mentioned Nico Iamaleava on Friday and that there was some dispute over his NIL money and that maybe he would want more. He decided not to go to practice. After Thursday, Pete Nakos reported that there was a little bit of dispute and some back and forth and a renegotiation potentially taking place. Nico doesn't attend practice on Friday. And then apparently Greg, the school, decides to cut ties and go a different direction that afternoon. Nico, not a part of the team as they took the field for their spring contest on Saturday. So Nico Iamaleava is no longer a Tennessee Volunteer, which brings up a ton of questions. Number one, where do they go at quarterback? Number two, where does Nico end up? How many teams are even going to be interested in Nico Iamaleava? Because it feels like the temperature around this move is very different than a lot of other high-profile players that have gone into the portal, regardless of school, coach, situation. It just feels a little bit more like this one is going to be a let's stay away or do not touch this individual.
He's also not as good as I think some people might like to think. I mean, if he were Cam Newton, probably roll the dice.
But I do think there's some context with that of where you place good. Proven right now, probably a little bit different in the eyes of some folks than where it needs to be. As far as ceiling talent, I don't know if there's going to be another one better than him in the spring portal. There's not one better than him in there right now as far as what you're going to get. And we know how a lot of these coaches are. They think they can make their guy better than anybody else. So there are even different aspects to that part of it, of what it's going to look like and what it's going to be. Let's start with just where you are, and we'll get to your feedback as well. You tweet in at Mac and Cube. You text in 205-834-9450. Call in 800-239-9569 on the Higginbotham hotline. Where are you with just how this finally split ways, be it the Iamaleava camp or Josh Heupel in the Tennessee camp?
I love what Josh Heupel did. I mean, I absolutely love it. Like, it's just makes me so happy. Not because of Nico. It really has nothing to do with Nico. But it's about time where, like, the players have a lot of power. No one's denying that, right? I mean, we all acknowledge that the players have a lot of power. Way too much, in my opinion. Like, way too much. People don't jam 110,000 deep into Neyland Stadium because Nico Iamaleava is running out of the tunnel. Like, that helps. It certainly helps. But that's not the exclusive reason why. And no one's bigger than the team. Like, I wish there's schools that would have done this last year. You know what I mean? Like, I wish this would have been going on for years. But, you know, everyone's scared to death about what could go down in the event in which this quarterback goes elsewhere and becomes a great player. Who cares? Like, if he's trying to strong arm your program over a couple $100,000, I just don't think it's worth it. Especially when he's not as efficient as some people might like him to be. He's really not that much more efficient than Joe Milton was the year before, to be honest with you.
So the other aspect of this is, and I think I'm with you 100% on that. I think the majority of people, and if you're not, would love to hear from you. I've almost seen a couple of people really via social that are siding with, I'm going to say the Nico Iamaleava camp, because there's a large portion of me that does not think that his personal brain is pushing this narrative or that he individually wants this.
No kid is going to do this.
I'm going to give him a little bit of grace on that.
For sure.
And I know that people want to be mad at him and they're going to be mad at him, but I haven't talked to him. I hadn't talked to his dad. So I don't know exactly where their mindset is or who's driving the conversation, but I do think he's got a lot of folks around him that are helping making some bad decisions. And I will just say this, having a couple of games in Tennessee the last 2 years, there were a lot of difficulties managing all of that from the Tennessee athletic department. And I don't feel like I need to go a whole lot further than that. But that is, I'm confident saying that. I feel it's fair to share that. And that may just kind of bring to light a little bit. And that was not from him individually. Although there were some headaches from him individually. I will tell you, he no-showed a TV meeting for us. 100% did. Just didn't show up. So maybe it was a reoccurring theme with him of not wanting to do things or not being around for things.
I'll say this: I've had good experiences with the kid.
So the conversations I have had with him,
your situation might be different than mine, might be different than Josh Heupel's, might be different than anyone else's. Like I think the kid's a good kid. I've had good experience with him. I'm not saying he's maybe the most prompt or the most mature. But
no, sure. When we have talked to him, he's been great.
He's a good kid, I think.
But I will tell you, there was a Friday TV meeting he's decided not to show up for.
Can't do it. Can't pull it off. Can't pull it off with this equipment.
And so either way, he's not there. There was we said Friday that, the father, Nick, came out and had his tweet about Pete Nakos, and we talked about Pete on the show, and I think we were all in agreement. Pete hadn't really been wrong before. And he put his reputation on the line here. It was a big story.
How was his social media there for a little while?
It was probably put the phone down there for about a day. But then it would have been fun to pick it back up about 24 hours later.
No, I still don't think it would have been fun.
If we ever needed validation that the graphic makes it real, this confirms it.
It's there you go.
But in all seriousness, did you not have a little bit of a reaction? And like I said, has nothing to do with the players. You know how a lot of these players operate. A lot of these players are good kids. They just want a chance. They want to go play. A lot of them. It's the periphery. Those on the periphery that are a disaster. The agents, the parents, like those are the people that are a problem. They're the ones that are trying to get theirs. Like it's their lifeline. Their child is their lifeline for them to just suck the fun out of the sport. That was one-time fun for their. I think the kids just want to play. Like that's what we do.
Right.
I mean, and I just think that this is a real. I was just very, very happy to see first time in a long time a program stand up and say no singular individual is bigger than the team. Not one. And you might be the best player. You might have the biggest name. You might have the highest upside. You might get drafted first overall next year, but it's just not worth it. That was refreshing to me. It was refreshing. And we don't see that ever.
No, there are not a lot of moments where the school or the coach or the university, honestly, Greg, can stand up to the players right now. Because like you said, they have more power than they've ever had. And if you stand up to them in certain ways, and you really try to stiff arm certain things, what's going to happen? You're going to get sued. That's what it is. You're going to get sued. So a lot of the people, I think maybe the most frustrating thing to me over the weekend was the amount of people who decided to shift all of the blame to the NCAA and say the NCAA could fix this. NCAA could handle this. And I just kept thinking to myself, and get sued again? Like the NCAA doesn't have the power to fix this right now. And I don't know if people have a real understanding of that or not. I am to the point now where I don't think the NCAA can repair a lot of this. I think it's past that.
Yeah.
They can try to. They're going to get sued. And then they're going to have to back up even further. So they're going to take a step forward and they're going to take 10 steps back and start allowing more things because it's just kind of where we are. I did think that for a moment, a little bit on Friday, I began to wonder kind of exactly how this whole thing was going down. I'm like, is this a defense mechanism by the dad where he knows he's wrong? He's coming out. He's trying to do some damage, usually the preemptive damage control. I don't know why, but a lot of times like my antennas go up a little bit early on that sometimes. And I just thought to myself, all right, it feels a little bit like he's going out of his way to get out in front of this. And would love to know kind of how things finally came to an end because I don't know how hard his camp was pushing. I don't know how hard Tennessee was pushing back. But as you stated, there comes a point in time that you just have to say, enough's enough. We'll move on with whatever we have left, and that's it.
We'll figure it out.
And the next question for me then becomes, all right, Tennessee fan, you're happy about this? You like this? You respect your head coach for this? Are you willing to have grace on the quarterback position this year? Because you might need to. Not that Nico was Peyton Manning reincarnated, but there's a good chance you take a step back there this year, Greg. And the fans that are happy now need to remember that. Remember what you were happy about. Because the overall ability might not be what it was prior. And this might be great in the long run, 2, 3, 4 years down the road.
That's what I care most about. I'll sacrifice 2025.
You're not a Tennessee fan, though.
But I'll sacrifice 2025 for the health of the program moving forward. 100%.
And the wild part about this is there was a lot of NIL poster child in Nico Iamaleava in his family, and the amount that he got, how he was getting it. And then on top of that, just also looking at, what was, this school basically went to court for him. Basically, this school said, we'll go to bat with, we'll go to court with the NCAA to take up for you, to be able to fight for how we recruited you because we think it's right. And now he and his family have decided that because of a certain amount of money, and there are certain folks now that are hinting around the fact that this young man, Greg, even was considering sitting out a playoff game to renegotiate.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but
at this point, would you put it past certain people in his camp to be doing that behind the scenes, though?
Nothing would surprise me anymore. I think the kid's a good kid. Like I've said that from the beginning. I've had nothing but positive interactions with Nico Iamaleava. He seems like a good kid. Mature, maybe there's some work to be done there, but at the same time, he seems like a good kid. So what I'm trying to figure out, John Mateer got $3 million, right? Thereabouts, correct?
That's what the graphic said.
The most high-profile transfer in the country, the best quarterback transfer in the country this past year. Nico was making 2-4 at Tennessee on a playoff contender. Are you really trying to become the highest paid quarterback in the country when your play would not come close to justifying that? Like, I understand that in the NFL, the guy that do I think Dak Prescott's the best quarterback in the NFL? No. Is he the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? Yes. A lot of it's timing. I understand that, but are you kidding? Like, what are the odds that he makes as much at his next destination as he was prepared to make at Tennessee? What are the odds? And then what you really cost yourself?
I'm going to say the odds right now are about 0.
I'm going to say 0.1 because there's always a chance. Desperation.
As I tweeted over the weekend for somebody who was suggesting maybe Nico try the UFL, quote tweet, never question the desperation of quarterbacks at any level of football. So, yes, I'm with you that there is a chance somebody could step up and say, if that's what it's going to take, by God, we'll get you in.
Perhaps. And so I'm going to say 0.1%. I don't think it's likely that he gets a bump because I really think that Tennessee probably likes Nico and thinks Nico's better than most anywhere else. I called 1 Tennessee game this year, 2, however many I called. I've been around Nico a couple times. And I think that most people look at last year's Tennessee offense as, golly, that running back's a huge problem. But if we can make the quarterback throw it, we got a chance. That's what a lot of people, that's the game plan against Tennessee last year. It's like, if we can just, let's keep the quarterback in the pocket and make him throw it. He's going to miss a couple. And if he can miss a couple, we'll be in great shape.
Yeah.
And I think that if that's how other teams are perceiving Nico, then are they really going to be willing to crawl over broken glass to pay him an ample amount of money to go and be their starting quarterback this upcoming year with guarantees, I might add, causing further disruption probably in their own quarterback room? Think about the trickle down of bringing Nico in. Well, guess what? You bring Nico in, guess who's out? Probably the incumbent or the 2 young guys that you signed that have great promise down the road. I mean, it becomes a very complex situation in a very quick period of time. So I'll be fascinated to see how this whole thing plays out. I think he overplayed his hand and found out. The age-old FAFO approach to negotiations. Because reality is there wasn't as much leverage as he probably thinks. Or he thought there was a ton of leverage. Tennessee felt like it really wasn't worth it.
There are a lot of limbs off this tree in a lot of different directions that this map could take us with this Nico Iamaleava saga. And we'll have a lot more on it. We'll talk about it more throughout the course of the show today. You can be involved with it, 800-239-9569. Chris is in Birmingham, wants to talk Nico Iamaleava. Welcome in, Chris.
How you guys doing this morning?
Great, thanks.
Good win for the Stallions was Friday night. I was there, shirtless black guy, but here's my take. I have more of a nuanced take behind this Nico thing that I feel like most that are crucifying him or for the season, which is indeed fair, and I full on agree with majority of what you said. But like we shouldn't be so quick to give Tennessee kudos behind it, because we'll be ignoring the fact that like Tennessee did like try to like join Virginia on that lawsuit about boundaries in NIL. So to say that they're just like free from all of it and just crouch down on the guy, it don't sit right well with me, because if he wasn't even remotely worth mid, because again you say y'all say a mid tier, but if he wasn't any worth more than the worth of this renegotiation, he wouldn't have gotten to the playoffs, and this wouldn't even been a topic of discussion, because we've had bad players like a quarterback once, I think early in the last season, and Hope Christian that pretty much held out and just pretty much prolonged the rest of the team. So it's a bit of a nuance there for me behind that, because you Tennessee, because you can champion Tennessee all you want, but to say that they didn't immediately get $2.2 million off the rip because they felt that they needed to compete with everybody else instead of going off the validity of their own program, that would leave a bad taste in my mouth. What do you guys think?
Well, here's my thing. They've paid him almost $5 million.
Thank you, Chris.
And for 14 starts, 13 starts, 14 starts. If you go back to the Citrus Bowl the year before against Iowa, right? They've paid. It's not like Tennessee hasn't done right by Nico.
Yeah, I think a little bit where Chris was going there was with, you wouldn't have paid him his NIL. You wouldn't have done what you've done for him up to this point if you wouldn't have thought that he was worth it. The other aspect of it is I think this is for Tennessee. Tennessee could have come up with the money. I mean, you're hearing this is over $200,000, right?
I don't
Tennessee could have come up with the money. I think this is more about timing, and I think this is more about frequency. Timing and frequency. You're going to do this 2 days before our spring game. You've gone through the entire spring now because now I'm going to say the same things that we said about Jamie Newman at Georgia. And Greg, what did I say about Jamie Newman at Georgia after he went through the whole spring and was the first team quarterback in Athens? Those ended up being what?
Wasted reps.
So Nico just wasted first team reps in Tennessee for an entire spring. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the NIL. And honestly, push the timing to the side. That, to me, if I'm Tennessee, I'm more pissed off about that than anything else. You just wasted what? 12, 13 practices of first team quarterback reps? 11? I don't think normal people understand how far behind that sets you from your entire offense, your team, your quarterback standpoint. So you just wasted all of that. And honestly, you wasted it for yourself because you're probably not going to UCF to run the same offense, or USF, excuse me. That to me is a bigger problem. So I don't think this is Tennessee all of a sudden, they've decided that he was worth it all this time, that now he's not. I think this was about timing, and this was about the fact that maybe this did happen during the playoffs, and maybe this did happen, or we know this happened right before the spring game. So therefore, they're over it. Can't keep doing this. Can't keep doing this to our coaches. Can't keep doing this to our collective. Can't keep doing this to your teammates. And then there's way down this situation that we need to go and talk about things of that nature. Your teammates are finding out that you're leaving via social media. Find out you're not coming to practice via social media. Nobody can be on board with that. Nobody. And it's a massive problem. If you have a massive problem with an injury, you might want to hit Andrew Sports Medicine. There's a reason Auburn's Athletics hand-selected Andrew Sports Medicine's Dr. Benson Emblem and Charles Pitts to serve as their team physicians. They provide the highest quality sports medicine care in an effort to keep the Tiger student-athletes safe, healthy, and competing at the highest level. If Andrew Sports Medicine is a choice for Auburn Athletics, there's no doubt they should be your family's number one choice for sports medicine and orthopedic care. Andrew Sports Medicine, 7 locations across Central Alabama, Birmingham, Coleman, Gardendale, Hoover, Pelham, and Trussville. They offer same-day, next-day appointments for acute sports injuries. Visit andrewsportsmedicine.com today to begin your journey of achieving victory over injury. More with the situation in Knoxville. Nico Iamaleava and his camp, Tennessee, where they go next. All that and more after this with Paul Finebaum on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7:23, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. He joins us each and every week, thanks to our friends at Crane Works. You can hear him 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays live right here on Jocks 94.5. It's Paul Finebaum.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Crane Works, rental works, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Paul Finebaum on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Crane Works. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Finebaum.
Paul, always great to have you in on a Monday morning. Now that we've had 2-3 days to sort of let all of the dust settle on this Nico Iamaleava Tennessee Athletic Department situation, where are you on exactly how and why this split took place?
Well, I think from an early view of it all, Tennessee fared incredibly well. They're being credited and praised across the country for getting rid of him. Now, I'm still not sure they had a choice. He didn't show up for practice and didn't show up on Saturday, so they were done. In relation to this moment in time, I think it is a critical moment. I think it's an inflection point. I think we're talking about one of the most important recent stories in college football history. In relation to Nico, I think it was inevitable based on all the information that is floating out there that he was looking to leave and clearly did not feel like he was getting an appropriate deal. So I think it turned out well for Nico, and he's got a chance to go somewhere else, wherever that is. Tennessee may have won the short-term battle. They still have the most obvious question facing them, and that is who is going to be the quarterback and how effective is that person going to be?
I think that's a fair question, and one that should be concerning in the near term, but overall, very positive in the long term. Paul, at what point do you think this will have a little bit kind of send shockwaves around the rest of the college football world and kind of announcing, hey, you know what? The schools are still in control. I know it hasn't felt that way for a while, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with the school and with the head coach.
I think that is a great message, Greg. Had Tennessee acquiesced and bent the knee, I think it would have been even a bigger story. I think you would have seen players on every campus going, okay, well, he got away with it. Why can't I? And I think that would have been a real issue. So Tennessee did the rest of college football a tremendous favor by saying no and maybe taking the short-term pain. And I think Friday, when this story was starting to break, I think a lot of people assumed that Tennessee would give in because that's just the way it is. But I think ultimately a lot of things went into Tennessee's decision. Namely, they stood up for this guy. They went to bat for him when it looked like he was going to be declared ineligible by the NCAA, and they got nothing back from a thank you standpoint. Now, did they get something out of Nico? Sure. They went to the playoffs last year, which was certainly a big deal, and I don't think they would have made it without him. But I think it resets college football, Greg, at a moment when it's going to be reset anyway. And I hope programs around the country will learn from this, because just to pay money because somebody is unhappy is the wrong thing to do. You have to treat this like a business. And where we work, where a lot of people driving to work right now they just don't throw away money if they're not getting anything in return. And I think Tennessee made a judgment. We're paying a lot of money. We got something in return, and we're not willing to pay any more.
Paul, where are you on the folks that skip Tennessee and Nico and his camp in this and just say, this is the NCAA's fault? This would never take place if it wasn't for the NCAA. They could repair all this if they wanted to.
Well, that is an intellectually lazy argument, because that was an argument you could have made in 2013 or 2014 or even 10 years ago. But this train pulled out a long time ago. And yes, the NCAA could have enacted, but let's not forget, the NCAA isn't an independent body that has nothing to do with the rest of college athletics. Every conference is connected, and the commissioners and the presidents of all these conferences are really the governing body of the NCAA. It is fashionable today to dump on the NCAA, and everyone does it. But right now, the conferences essentially run college athletics and can create whatever they want in that space.
Paul, what do you think what do you think is going to happen with this moving forward for Josh Heupel in Tennessee? I know in the near term, he is going to be lauded by Tennessee fans and should be. Frankly, I can't wait to talk to him. I haven't had a chance yet. I just can't wait to talk to him and kind of get his take. I feel like I have a good relationship with Josh, and I can't wait to hear what he says from his perspective on the matter. But is this something that could be used against him down the road? I really am trying to think of all the different ways that this could have a trickle down effect.
Yeah, in the interim, he is a hero. There's no question on that conversation. Ultimately, every coach is graded the same way, but we've seen in different situations, Napier being one, others, where if you have the right leadership, and Tennessee does. I mean, Tennessee is as about as aligned president to AD to football coach as any school I know. No, it doesn't matter. I guess I want to say it doesn't really matter what the record is, and I'm going to say it really doesn't matter what the record is this year, because Josh Heupel has earned the goodwill of that fan base and really of a lot of people. Ultimately, it does matter. We're talking about short term because this college football season is underway at the moment, and Tennessee doesn't have a serviceable quarterback. So if they blow a bunch of games, fans will give him a pass. Ultimately, you have to win, but in the short term, I don't know of a college football coach who is more secure than Josh Heupel.
Paul Finebaum with us on the Higginbotham Hotline each and every week. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks. Paul, it feels like the exterior temperature of Nico Iamaleava's next destination is a lot different than it has been for a lot of the high-profile quarterbacks. Do you see a realistic possibility that a lot of, or the majority of schools that may be in the market for a quarterback stay away from him because of that?
I would stay away from him. Buyer beware of this guy, and it's not even Nico. It's the whole apparatus. I mean, you're not dealing. Something tells me Nico is not personally in the middle of these negotiations. Team Nico is, and I mean there is a toxic feeling about this player because of the attention and because he is the one that everyone is talking about. And I would be very careful. First of all, I mean, you guys are better evaluators than I am, but he's a good quarterback. How elite is he? Can he? I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, he's by far a better option than some guy who can barely get the signals in from the coach on the sideline. But I don't think in the short term, and that's all we're really talking about with him, he is going to make a significant difference. Can he help? Sure. We saw that with Tennessee. I mean, if you look at Tennessee's schedule right now, a couple of games that were Tennessee favored, toss-up games are changing at the moment until Tennessee can clear that up. So he can impact a football team, but you also have to decide what is the cost. And everywhere he goes, there's going to be this halo around him that says he held out, he asked for money, he's a problem child, stay away.
And then, Paul, and look, I've seen this offense, know this offense. I've seen it run a very long time with a lot of guys that frankly don't have like an outrageous amount of talent. We saw it used with success at Baylor for a number of years. Outside of RG3, very few of those Baylor quarterbacks were just freak show athletically. It's no disrespect to Bryce Petty, who's a friend, but I'm just suggesting, is this possible that Josh Heupel looks at his backup quarterback situation and says, we might be able to do okay with these guys. Maybe not light the world on fire, but in time they can become a very serviceable option. Is that possible as well?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he's got two good quarterbacks, and certainly McIntyre, the freshman, everybody raves about him, but then again, everybody raves about every high school quarterback these days. So I don't know. I mean, there may be a player out there that he'll take a look at, and certainly it's not a bad idea to have a third option as opposed to a freshman who has never played and one who has only played sparingly. But I think, I mean, we're talking about a good operation. I mean, these are not novices at the offense, Greg, as you pointed out. So I think the one thing I'll say about Tennessee, the Syracuse game is certainly winnable. It's still winnable. The schedule is exactly what you expect. The road game at Alabama, I think, might be the difference maker, where last year they could win that game. If I had looked at the schedule 2 weeks ago, I would have said that game at Alabama is a toss-up. Not anymore. I would definitely favor Alabama over Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. So I think that's a big deal, because that could be the difference in where Tennessee was at maybe 9-3 or ultimately at 10-2. So it's a big deal, but it's not as big a deal if Heupel can get everything organized pretty quickly here. And that is the ultimate challenge. There's just not much time left.
Paul, always appreciate the time. Great stuff as always. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch up next week.
A pleasure. Thank you. Paul
Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us each and every week thanks to our friends at Craneworks. So still lots to unpack around this Nico Iamaleava situation. We'll get your feedback on it. Text in 205-834-9450. Also, you can call him 800-239-9569. Get you on the Higginbotham Hotline. And you can tweet in at Mac and Cube. We'll get to a little bit of your feedback. Talk Masters this hour. Obviously something that we definitely want to get to. And more after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. $7:38 Monday, April 14th, Jocks 94.5. Appreciate you tuning in. What would be next for Tennessee for Nico Iamaleava couple folks chiming in via Twitter. We'll get to that at Mac and Cube. You can tweet in there. Before we do, Greg, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Bromberg's been a great place. That's where I've gone for many, many years and bought things that are precious for my loved ones, things that I think will stand the test of time, generational purchases that will be passed down from one generation to another. And I've always been grateful to the service and the salesmen that I've gotten a chance to know for many, many years. I mean, these are good people. I trust them like family. They point me in the right direction. They know my budget. They know my wife's preferences. It's always great experience when I shop at Bromberg's. You can go get your natural diamond, get one-of-a-kind jewelry, gold, white gold, platinum, anything you could possibly want, including beautiful watches, are all available there at Bromberg's. And I highly recommend you going and checking it out for yourself right there in Mountain Brook Village, or you can go to Bromberg's at the Summit. You can also check them out online at brombergs.com.
Greg Skipworth tweets in, Tennessee created the crab show in bringing Nico in the way it began. Josh did the only thing he could at this point, but Tennessee created this with the initial $8 million they offered him.
I don't think so. I mean, I think they did what they needed to do. What do you think?
They went and got their guy. I mean, it was the guy that I think Josh thought was the best fit that he wanted, had the highest ceiling talent-wise, and they thought they could make it work. JD tweets in, Tennessee absolutely did the right thing. There's no room for holdouts in college football. As for the Vols in 2025, I think they have a real opportunity to upgrade at the quarterback position. Nico is not a game changer. Some of the people that are saying things of that nature, I would like to know 5 days ago what your response would have been to people saying that. And I don't know. Maybe it would have been the same. And I'm not saying he's a world beater. I'm not saying that he's even Baker Mayfield.
If we would have said that 5 days ago, Tennessee fans would have destroyed us. I mean, let's just be real. But the reality is he completed a lower percentage of passes than Joe Milton the year before.
I mean, it's your girlfriend's always less attractive when she breaks up with you, right? Your ex at that point.
That's not,
your ex-girlfriend's always
goes
less,
the other direction.
Your ex-girlfriend's always less cool when she breaks up with you, right? Like your ex-girlfriend's always, the one that didn't give you any freedom and always bothered you once she breaks up with you, right? I mean, it's the same difference.
It's true.
I mean, it's.
But some go the other direction where they become really, really good looking too. I mean, let's just acknowledge reality. That does happen. I have seen that. I have seen that with friends. It's an uncomfortable situation. Oh, she was bad. I don't know, dude. She looks pretty good. I saw her there today.
She's bad now, son.
Did they break up with her? Or did she break up with him?
Doesn't matter. Not important.
I think it does.
No, I don't care.
I think it does. Because usually when it's the girl who breaks up with the guy, that's when she becomes less attractive, less cool, less forgiving,
definitely
more
less
annoying.
Cool. No guy's ever going to be like, oh, yeah, she was so cool, dude. I can't believe you broke up with her. No guy's ever said that. But there have been situations in which,
I ain't got time for cool girlfriend.
And there have been times, and I'm just saying, in rare cases, guy and girl break up. Guy starts going on a drinking bender. Girl starts going to yoga every day. And they go in different directions. I'm just saying, I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen. It's a dangerous game.
It is dangerous.
Pilates is a powerful thing.
Jeff Matthews tweets in, Greg nailed it on the head. Parents are the issue. We had a travel ball parent take their kid off the team 2 weekends ago because 9-year-olds had a bad tournament. Don't let him back,
these guys.
By the way. Don't let him back if that was the case. Mark tweets in,
the kids don't know nothing about nothing.
They don't.
I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth.
The UT quarterback was a top half of the league quarterback, but not the top half of the top half. Heck, he wasn't the best quarterback in the state of Tennessee. We had fun with that on Friday, but if all things are equal, if you didn't know what your system was and you didn't know what you were going to have around you, and somebody said right now, you're starting, I tweeted this in. Mark, if we're starting Mark State or Mark Tech,
heck yeah, Mark Tech rips.
You taking Diego Pavia or Nico Iamaleava?
I'm probably taking Nico Iamaleava.
I think that's a fair assessment by most.
Look,
people
it's easy to dog him, but the reality is he is not the second coming of Joe Burrow. He is a middle tier to upper tier quarterback at the moment with a crazy high tier skill set. You have to acknowledge that. And we need to acknowledge that, guys. If he was a an average Joe from a skill set standpoint.
If he had Navy Schuler's ability.
Is that Heath Schuler's son? Who is Navy?
It is, yeah. He's been a walk-on the team last year.
Oh, love that. All right, sounds good. Well, anyways.
But it has maybe a third of Nico Iamaleava's talent.
Correct. It'd be one thing if Nico didn't have a crazy high ceiling, because the fear is, well, hey, he leaves, he becomes a freak somewhere else. Like, it's in there. Everyone's seen it. Everyone's seen the potential. And watching potential walk out the door is a hard thing to do. A hard thing to do. It's like, man, this guy here working for my company is incredibly charismatic. He could be the best salesman in my company. He's unbelievable. He's good looking. He's really charming. He knows exactly what to say, when to say it. But the problem is he doesn't work hard. Like, that's the equivalent. Like, man, well, if I could ever get him to work hard, he'd be an incredible producer for me. So it's hard to let that guy leave. He does the bare minimum, but man alive, if he ever just applied himself a little bit more, he'd be the best salesman in our company and make me a ton of money. That's kind of what Nico is. He's an incredibly gifted player.
I love those managers that when you're hitting your numbers, because they always say numbers is the bottom line, all that matters. Then all of a sudden it's how much are you working? When are you working? How smart are you working? It's like, you told me that the numbers were what actually mattered here.
Hey, it's managers for you. You got to manage.
They do manage.
Manage your peeps. But Nico's like that guy that if for whatever reason everything aligned, the guy could win the Heisman Trophy.
There's no doubt.
Like, that's what's hard about this. And that's probably why Nico tried to hold their feet to the fire.
So it will be interesting, though, because Paul kind of followed up with where we went on where other schools will be with him, and that this one just feels like, I mean, to steal a portal phrase that is real for the other side of it now, it almost feels like there's a do not contact tag with a lot of the schools around Nico Iamaleava, as in, hey, we're going to go ahead and put out there, don't contact us because we're not going to do this. And
how about
whether
his
you believe
team already reaching out to teams?
And whether you believe the Dan Lanning portion of this, where they were made aware of it because it was being shopped, or and he's the one that let Tennessee know, or you believe that there's another team that did that, and that's either to get him or to get him out, or that they would definitely not touch him now. Well, I don't know. I will continue to say this. Never doubt the desperation of the need for quarterbacks. Never, ever, ever, ever.
They're the hardest to find, and they're the hardest to. And here's the thing. We've seen him play. Like, we've seen the bullets fly, and it wasn't always pretty, but at least we've seen it. Everyone wants that high school quarterback who's the bird in the bush, right? At least with Nico, there's the bird in the hand. We've seen it. It might not be elite right now, but at least we've seen how he handles the chaos.
He's not Hendon Hooker, but he has the ability to go way past what Hendon Hooker was. Fair?
Yes.
Just athletic ceiling, athletic ability. I think it's easy to see there. And just,
I think he's got like a Josh Dobbs ceiling. I mean, like, Josh Dobbs was a dude. He could be that guy. He's a freak.
I think he has the ability to throw better than Dobbs did.
Probably.
Spring weather in Alabama can be unpredictable. That's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. Right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Trane home comfort systems. Find out more at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a Trane. Let's spend a little bit of time on the Masters, then we'll come back to Nico with Austin Price at 8 a.m. right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. Do have to pay it off a little bit today. 7:50 Monday, April 14th. Had to be a big weekend for the McElroy family, watching Rory grab his first green jacket birdie on the 73rd hole. His 17th Masters, 11th opportunity at the career Grand Slam. Rory gets it done. 6th player to reach the career Grand Slam. Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Ben Hogan, Gene Sarazen, your others. It also ends a 38 major start drought for Rory. Second longest streak all time for those that had won multiple majors, Ben Crenshaw being the other. Rory actually now 5-2 in playoffs, by the way. That was his first playoff in a major, though, and the first at the Masters since 2017. He wins it in extra holes, Greg, and had to be really exciting for you. As you admitted Friday, you were rooting for him.
Yes.
And that was your pick, and that you were very hopeful he could get it done.
Yes, I'm very happy. Happy for him. Happy for golf. I think it was a little unfortunate. Now, Justin Rose was amazing and did an incredible job and was right there wire to wire all the way up into the very end. And hitting that putt on 18 to force the playoff was amazing. Justin Rose, I think, has nothing to hang his head about under any circumstances. But it was kind of anticlimactic with how Rory kind of stumbled into the playoff, and that the playoff wasn't with a guy like Bryson DeChambeau, where it really would have captivated the world's attention. Everyone and their brother could get aligned in rooting for Rory, but Bryson has a strong contingent of followers that I think would have been good for the game. But all things considered, this is exactly what needed to happen. I mean, it's exactly what needed to happen in an era in which Tiger Woods is phasing out. Scotty Scheffler is the world number one, but to have an equipped 2 that just finished off a career that is one of the best of all time is amazing. And now, having not had one in a really long time, that might free him up. I mean, he's won at Quail Hollow multiple times. Quail Hollow is the next venue in May for the PGA Championship. So we have a lot of exciting things coming forward with us here with golf, and I think it's going to be a great summer.
There you go. Justin Rose and Ben Hogan are now the only players with multiple Masters playoff losses. You got to give Rose a lot of credit, though, Greg. Pretty strong way to finish. 10 birdies in the final round of Masters competition is the most ever. Justin Rose did that yesterday. So... and it was Justin Rose in the last playoff in 2017 that lost to Sergio Garcia. He made it interesting also and made a heck of a push there late.
I mean, there were so many different times where you thought Rory's going to run away from it. But my goodness, I mean, Justin Rose with the final round 66, that was gutsy. And the putt on 18, like I said, ridiculous.
When Rory went inside of him at 18, you couldn't have thought it wasn't over. I mean, you had to think it was over.
Well, the putt on 18 just to get to the playoff, but the shot he hit into 18 from the angle he had to hit it in on, that was a dart. I mean, Rory's was ridiculous, and he played the ridge perfectly, and you couldn't draw up a better shot. I mean, you really couldn't. Outside of it going in, you could not have asked for a better shot from Rory McIlroy in the playoff. But the dart that Justin Rose threw up there to put the pressure on Rory was equally impressive in many ways. He just had a little different angle. It's a harder incoming shot to get close unless you would have throw it out a little bit more to the right, which runs the risk of you leaving it on the top shelf and then you bring a 3-putt into play. So I thought Rose played amazing. I hated that someone had to lose, but I couldn't be happier for Rory and for golf. A guy that stayed loyal, a guy that didn't leave for live and could have, a guy that's kind of ushered in a new era of golfer while still kind of being the old head in the group. And hopefully we can just reinvigorate the rivalry that we had in the early 2000s with Tiger against Phil. Now we just have it with Rory and Scotty. And that to me would be incredible for golf moving forward.
What about Rory and DeChambeau?
DeChambeau's got to come back.
Bryson said after the tournament, Rory would not talk to me.
He's got to come back. And I want him to come back. If he comes back, then we're good. If he doesn't come back, then that would be.
Where's he going?
He's in Live.
Going to the draft?
No, he's at Live.
Oh, you're saying he has to be on the PGA Tour full time in order for that to happen?
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I think most of the world will only pay attention to majors.
If we don't get him at the John Deere Classic, or the Rocket Mortgage Invitational, then it's not a rivalry.
Well, if you only watch WrestleMania, then clearly that Cody Rhodes and John Cena hate each other.
Who doesn't know that?
I mean, but I kind of need to watch the occasional SmackDown or Raw to know what the heck is going on when Royal Rumble goes on in the summer.
That's why we got build up. We can just go figure it out. By the way, we need to get Conrad on this week. WrestleMania this weekend, right? 7 main events.
Yeah, including a triple header death match.
After the first death match, how do you have the double header and then subsequently the triple header death match?
Don't matter. I ain't worried about
Feels
it.
like a dangerous WrestleMania.
It's always dangerous at WrestleMania.
All right, so how did this go down exactly? How did it start? How did it really end? We will bring in somebody who knows, and that is Austin Price of VolQuest, who covers the Vols, knows them as well as anybody. He's with us on the other side to bring factual information to the split between Nico Iamaleava, his camp, and the Tennessee Volunteer Football Program. We'll have that conversation right after this break on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hour number 2 underway, 8 a.m. Monday, April 14th, Jocks at 94.5. We're going to continue to try to get to the bottom of just how this Nico Iamaleava situation with Josh Heupel and the Tennessee football program got to where it was. Before we do that, Greg, tell our listeners about Chenard Flooring.
Chenard Flooring and Fu and his company have been built on a foundation of trust and integrity. They also have 40,000 square feet of CoreTech flooring by Shaw in stock today. They're the only company in this community that has that much flooring in stock so that you could see it, touch it, feel it, actually see it right there with your own two eyes before you decide to make the decision to install it in your home. They're the go-to. And now to have that many square feet of CoreTech flooring, it's a no-brainer that Shannara Flooring has to be the destination for you. This CoreTech flooring is amazing. It's waterproof, kid-proof, pet-proof. They're easy to clean. They're easy to maintain. They're ideal for kitchens, laundry rooms, bathrooms, everywhere. You can get 12 months financing with approved credit. So if you're thinking about making some changes to your floors, call who? Call Fu. Call them at 205-518-6423 or go online at fooandyou.com.
All right, we'll go to Austin Price, who joins us now on the Higginbotham Hotline with VolQuest, covers the Tennessee Volunteers, does it better than anybody. Austin, take us inside the last waking moments of this entire situation when the actual split took place. Based on what you know, is that Josh Heupel making the final call saying we're done, go another way? Is that just Nico not showing up to practice and that was kind of mutually understood it was going to be over? How did this finally come to these two sides are not going to be a part of each other anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think the family was frustrated with some of the stuff that was out there. Nico doesn't show up for practice on Friday morning, and that was it. I mean, like, I think the Josh Heupel's hands were tied at that point. Both sides are going to say they both made the decision. And either way, I mean, it was kind of a parting of the ways. It wasn't ideal. But what you do know is Nico was at a quarterback dinner. Like, each position group went out to dinner or went to that position coach's house on Thursday. They went to Coach Halsley, who's the offensive coordinator and the quarterback's coach. They went to his house. He was there for that on Thursday at 9 p.m. Less than 12 hours later, he was not in the building for practice. So, at some point late Thursday night, Nico and his dad and everyone made the decision to not come to practice on Friday. And at that point, I think it was pretty much done on both sides, because I just don't think you can come back from that. You can't miss practice and everything be okay.
No, I didn't think that anything was going to be good once we found out that practice was not going to be going down. But I am curious, where did this come from? I mean, it sounds like now there's reports that this was going on before the playoff game and that this had happened a number of times. How accurate are those?
Yeah, I don't believe that to be true. I don't, everybody can stand on their own, stuff, but I don't believe that there was any kind of, shakedown before the playoff game or anything like that. I think he was totally committed to playing the playoff game. Honestly, I thought he was one of the few guys that really just, it looked like it meant to him something out there. When things went south, it meant something to everybody before the game started. But when things went south, Nico kept competing, and he competed the whole game. So I thought for that much, like I guess I don't believe that to be true.
How much do you look at what's left on that roster at quarterback and maybe some comfort or confidence from Josh Heupel, Joey Halsley, that they can be okay with what's next, allowing them to make the decision to go ahead and move on?
Well, they love the growth of Jake Merklinger this spring. They love the upside with George McIntyre, but George McIntyre needs to, he needs to put on about 20 pounds, and that he's going to have to do that regardless, whether Nico is there or not. He's just now accelerated. Tennessee's going to have to add a quarterback in the portal. You can't go into the season with two. Then they're a concussion and a sprained ankle away from having a true freshman kid from Northview High School, which is just outside of Sevierville. It's starting the game. They're going to have to add a quarterback. The question is who's available. I do believe that there's going to be interest. Tennessee's a high-profile job, quarterback job that's open now. We'll see who, has their representatives reach out and who doesn't. I do think that will happen in this world. I'm, intrigued to kind of see what the market is. but Tennessee's going to have to go out and at least get somebody with some experience, because at this point, Merklinger's played just a little bit more than I have at quarterback in the SEC, which is none, and George hasn't played at all. So they're going to have to go out and try to find somebody that could functionally run this thing. But then they're under the microscope of having to learn this thing. Greg, you played the position. How hard would it be to show up in May and functionally run a different type of offense than maybe what you're accustomed to at your current school?
Well, look at what Joe Burrow did his first year. He was pretty average that first year in 2018. He arrived in May and didn't even really had much an opportunity to get to know his teammates before he had to take the reins as the starter there in 2018. And I know it all flourished and all worked out in 2019, but to arrive in May and get the job, you'd have to be the lesser of many evils. And frankly, looking at the depth that Tennessee has at quarterback, I don't think there's an evil there. I think there's just a bit of an unknown.
The whole team's an unknown, guys. I mean, the receiver position, very young. Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, the three true freshman receivers. At running back, you've got some unknown. Offensive line, who's going to replace Cooper Mays? There's unknown there. I mean, there's a lot of unknown on this football team. That's not a bad thing. It's just you don't know. And until they prove they can do it, you don't know what they are or what they're not.
Where do you think this goes next for Nico and his camp? Do you think that there's going to be a lot of suitors? Do you think that they have real options? Do you think that's one of the reasons they were pushing as hard as they were? What do you think that most of the college football world that feels like, hey, stay away from this guy is going to be a reality once he actually hits a portal?
I don't know. And having seen all this play out in the public, I think that whatever they do next will be very guarded, will be very, will be something where no one knows until, he announces it. I'm not sure that any kind of graphics guy or anything like that is going to know. I think they'll keep things very much in-house and close to the vest. You've heard UCLA, you've heard USC, but, people around USC have shot that down. People around Notre Dame have shot down their interest. Texas Tech's been mentioned. And then I know a few people that have talked to higher-ups down there in Lubbock, and they've kind of downplayed that as well. You've heard North Carolina. It will be interesting to kind of see where this thing goes and where Nico ends up. Obviously, a super talented kid with a lively arm, and it's really unfortunate, this thing all kind of fell apart here, because I do think he was poised to have a really good year.
You mentioned earlier an Austin Price of VolQuest joining us on the Higginbotham hotline. The family was becoming increasingly frustrated. About what?
Well, I think they were just frustrated that it was all played out in the media the way it was the other day. And again, I think, you get into like who, how many times somebody's asked me who leaked it? Was it Tennessee that leaked it? Was it Nico's family that leaked it? I'm not sure either side leaked it, but I think, you've seen, some of the notion out there that, that other schools knew that Nico was potentially available. I think that's potentially, again, it's all speculation on my part. I think that's potentially where a lot of this stuff come from, was the agent world, the chatter out there that knew he was available, and it starts to rumble more and more. And I don't think necessarily that Nico's camp did anything or Tennessee's camp did anything. I think it was maybe, third parties that, kind of let this thing unravel late in the week.
Tough stuff. It gets out. And I'm not sure it matters who leaked it. And I'm not sure. I have yet to see anybody side with Nico on this and his side. I don't know anybody that has. And I know you have a little bit of a partisan following, but has there been anybody that you think has kind of been on Nico's side as it relates to this whole situation?
No, Greg, but at the same time, I think that a lot of people they have a lot of empathy for Nico in this situation, because they're not sure that Nico was the one that made any of these decisions. And so, I just know that for Tennessee, it doesn't make any sense for them to have, put it out there, because when you put out there you're in negotiations with your quarterback, your whole team's going to go, well, I want to renegotiate. They're all going to go. Because you're entering that window of time where, everybody's, can renegotiate with the portal window open for the next, 9 or 10 days. And so, that part doesn't make any sense. But to answer your question, I just hear a lot of people say, I feel bad for Nico. Yeah, there are people that, probably don't understand the inner workings that are mad at the kid, but there's a lot of people that just aren't mad at Nico himself.
What were the dealings like with the family and he inside that facility? Maybe you personally, or just what you heard. Was it easy? Was it difficult? Was it a lot? What has it been like during his time as a Tennessee Volunteer?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the family was, they were around quite a bit. They weren't around much this spring, but I mean, they're big Polynesian family. They're tight knit. Mom's the sweetest lady on the planet. They do it, they love to hang out together. I mean, when I saw him in high school, when I saw him through the process when he was here, because I was able to spend a little bit of time with him, especially through the recruiting process. They always were very fair to me. They just were, a tight knit group that loved their son. They got a lot of kids and they loved them all. And, I don't think they were overly overbearing, but I do think they were around. And so, that's as much as I can say.
Yeah. Austin, we appreciate the time, man. Always great stuff. This program better than anybody, and thanks for taking some time for us to discuss it today.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Austin Price with a little bit more insight into just how this entire Nico Iamaleava situation was playing out. And the portion of in the media, Greg, I think is also interesting because Austin brings up a good point there. Why would Tennessee want to open the door to every other player to say, hold on, we're negotiating right now? The spring game's in 2 days.
Yeah.
And then allow them to go say, okay, cool. If we're getting contracts done, let's go. I'm going to talk about mine again.
And let's go beyond Tennessee. Like, you think that stops in Knoxville? But all of a sudden, Nico's threatening to hold out. What is the trickle-down effect? And look at what Mario Cristobal had to say on the subject. What is the trickle-down effect in College Station, Texas? What's the trickle-down effect in West Lafayette, Indiana for Purdue? I mean, it doesn't matter what school. And Paul alluded to this earlier. They stopped what was a vicious cycle, or what could have become a vicious cycle, by simply saying, no, we're not doing this.
Right.
And I think that was healthy for every program in the country, because you don't think if Nico had got his way, that wouldn't have had a lasting effect on what was going to go down in the next week at Kentucky or South Carolina or Texas or Oklahoma?
You'd think.
You don't think that's going to get out? You don't think that agent has more than one client? Like, I mean, come on, man.
Well, it has, and other coaches have now had to reference it and mention it and talk about it and discuss it. I'll move on and let you hear what one coach had to say in just a moment. First, Greg, if you're looking to move out of your house, who are you going to call?
Be Crocker Moving Search. They're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring moves you can trust, complete full background check, and run drug tests on every single one. But these are good guys. You can trust them in your home. It's your whole home packed up move. Your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. These guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingsources.com. That's crockermovingsources.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Sources for your next move.
All right, we'll hear from one coach who had to reference this over the weekend next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Monday, April 14th, 8:18. Jocks 94.5. Watch live on YouTube. You can listen to the show on the app as well. Just search WJOX in your app store. Download it for free. Tune in on the go, anywhere, everywhere. Other coaches now having to react to this situation as well. Mario Cristobal asked about it over the weekend and had this to say about how things will be handled by his administration.
We're not going to do that at Miami. And I say that without any hesitation. You know, if anyone's thinking that, and they could be the best player in the world, if they want to play holdout, they might as well play get out. We don't want to do that. We don't want Miami to become that. Too many guys have sweated, bled, have laid it on the line on that field to ever become that kind of a program.
Want to play holdout, you might as well play get out, was the quote there from Mario Cristobal if you could not make it out. So Mario kind of sounds like Greg trying to set the tone early right now of just how this is going to be handled.
That's the way it should be handled. I mean, my whole approach, we've been saying this forever for coaches. Man, look, you and I, how many friends do we have that are coaches?
Lots.
Tons, right? Love them. Great people, great profession, hard profession. Got to get theirs. Totally support every single one of those guys getting paid. But I've always wondered, why didn't the AD say no? Like, does Luke Fickell need an extension this year? Because he got one. Why wouldn't he say no? That's what Josh Heupel just did to Nico.
Yeah.
Like, you can say no. It's okay. Like, it's fine. It's okay to say no. Well, it's just amazing to me. But in college football, we for whatever reason don't act logically when it comes to evaluating college football, players and coaches. Why is that? Why are so many people? If you have someone that is at ESPN, we've gone through multiple situations in which like people were no longer brought back. They weren't brought back.
Yeah.
Because they didn't perform or they were too expensive, whatever the circumstance may be. And it stinks. You hate it, but it's business. It's the worst, but it's part of doing business. We see it all the time. We also see it in other lines of work as well. Like, you have an expectation to perform at a certain level. You perform at that level, you are rewarded. In some cases, you fall short. You don't get rewarded. You don't miss your quota as a salesperson and get extended. That doesn't happen very often.
Nope.
But in college football, it does. It's amazing.
That inability to say no is very real in a lot of instances. And we don't know what the exact ask was. And as I stated earlier in the show, I do feel like the timing of it was a big portion, and maybe the frequency of it was a big portion of it. A couple of people chiming in via Twitter. You want to be a part of this Nico conversation on the show? 800-239-9569. Get you in the Higginbotham hotline. The Unhipster tweeting in, is everyone overestimating the size of the money tree in college athletics? I think that would depend on what part of it you're discussing. Certain schools, no. What it brings in, no. As far as in its totality, what it has to give, yes. Absolutely. Not every school has. And it's not going to even be that the school has it. It's that the school has it at its disposal. Yeah, I don't think Texas A&M itself has as much money as a lot of people think they do for athletics, but I think Texas A&M has a lot of people that have enough money for Texas A&M athletics to be able to do some things. Similar with Tennessee. Royal Payne tweets in another angle to the Nico thing. I've seen some talk he was not happy about how the pieces were fitting around him this year. If true, who knows? But what would that indicate for Tennessee's potential and if he had a real outside offer?
Well, if he's got a real outside offer, what's taking so long?
I don't think he's even in the portal yet.
Yeah, I think Wednesday, right?
So, but it'll be quick if he did. We'll probably know pretty fast. I'd imagine you're going to see some visits, and it may go for a minute, which once again goes to Greg's point even further. It more raises the level of difficulty of him being a part of whatever team that is, being close to those teammates, making things happen. Like, if you're going to go start on another team this year, you need to get in now and get things going.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be tough, Greg.
Still, it's going to be extremely tough, but that's the name of the game. And I'll be curious too. I mean, shoot, there's so many different situations that could come up. I mean, there's a lot of movement that could be coming down here in the next couple of days. Notre Dame, for example. Notre Dame has 3 pretty good options at quarterback, right?
Can we just stop that right now?
What?
Notre Dame was one of the teams that a lot of people had on their short list
Of
of where Nico's going to go.
Oh, yeah, he ain't going there.
My initial, I know y'all all hadn't sat down Marcus Freeman, but like you've seen him, you've seen him talk, like you've seen his presentation, you've seen how he handles things.
Yeah.
That
ain't happening.
There is no list with Notre Dame and Nico Iamaleava that I would ever put together.
The other way,
not even the long list, not even the long shot list. That's like a no for Marcus Freeman right off the bat. No,
like the opposite of Marcus Freeman, like the antithesis of what they're trying to build in South Bend.
I was really surprised to see some people throw that name out.
Well,
this
people
weekend.
are dumb
with confidence. They threw it.
Well,
out.
they're dumb. I don't see that at all. That's ridiculous. Like, no, he's not going Notre Dame. But I could see one of Notre Dame's quarterbacks potentially ending up at a place like Tennessee. They have 3 guys competing for the job.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't think Marcus Freeman, being a traditionalist that he is, I don't think he wants that competition to extend with 3 guys into the summer. 3 guys in competition in the summer is not ideal. Does it happen? Of course. Has it worked out? Absolutely. But it's not ideal. It never has been. It's just too many reps to share. And those reps, as you get closer and closer to fall, become more and more valuable. So I don't think there's a scenario where you are going to see a big, surge by Tennessee to go get one if they don't have to, because they might like what they have from a depth standpoint. But if they do, I could see it being one of Notre Dame's quarterback options in the event in which one of those guys bounces. And there's going to be other guys that bounce too that are ruled out, that going from 3 to 2. Maybe there's a guy from Alabama's roster that's in the portal in 2 days. I'm not sure that would surprise a whole lot of folks. I think that's a possibility. I mean, maybe there's one from Georgia. That's a possibility.
There'll be a couple other guys. I do think it's going to be difficult for guys with the talent ceiling as high as Nico's is also going to be in the portal. That doesn't feel like it's likely. By the way, our guy Pete Sampson, who's been on the show before, covers Notre Dame. Final stat line on Notre Dame's quarterbacks in their spring festival.
Yes.
CJ Carr, 14-19, 172 touchdowns a pick. Kenny Minchie, 6 of 14, 106 touchdown rushing.
Yes.
And Jelly, 8 of 11, 108 and a touchdown.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I mean, the stat line there.
His thought, sorry to interrupt you, after that was Carr was excellent and looked a cut above.
Yes, he by those that were in attendance looked fantastic. Angeli had a lot of short throws, efficient throws. I think it's going to come down to those two. I think Minchie's a great athlete and a good runaround guy, but I'm not sure that he at this point can be the guy that is going to be the down and out starter, barring some significant jump.
We have one more tweet coming in that I want to get to, and I'll hit this tweet and then we'll discuss it on the other side. Walker Hayes tweets in. This has been brought up before. He's not the first person. Texas Tech just paid $4 million for a point guard. I bet they got $4 million for a quarterback. We'll discuss that part of all of this, and you'll hear from another coach on this situation inside the Southeastern Conference after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. Following up on the tweet into the show just a moment ago, at Mac and Cube, you can tweet in and be a part of the show. Texas Tech, $4 million on a point guard, obviously would have $4 million for a quarterback. There are multiple reasons for this, Greg, but I'll just say this. First off, I don't think a lot of people understand this, but you have a quarterback returning that threw for over 3,300 yards and 27 touchdowns last year. And Baron Morton. I know that's not the name, and that's not, gets people excited. What do you do in your locker room at that point? You make a move like this then. Also, just having seen, watched, heard that head coach, and then just the program in itself, it feels like maybe one of the worst fits possible to me. But maybe we don't really care about fit anymore. We're just looking for a check. And if that's the case, then sure, go. But I realize people are going to say that the money's there, so it's easy because you have a billionaire that is leaning heavily into NIL. But from a fit perspective, that feels about as bad as possible to me.
I just don't see it. I don't see it. I understand to an extent, but I just don't. I don't see it. Texas Tech just went all in the portal. Like they are now kind of surrounding, and if they wanted to go all in, they already did it. By the way, so a reminder, like they went all in already. So help me understand for a second, just for a second. If they went all in the spring or in the January portal, why didn't they get a quarterback? They spent more money than just about anybody.
Yeah.
Auburn spent maybe more than anybody, but Texas Tech is like second, maybe third, as far as money spent on this year's roster. They have a top 7 payroll in the entire country. Texas Tech does. If that was the case, why didn't they go get the quarterback then, 3 months ago, as opposed to waiting till now? So I think they like their guy. I don't anticipate that being a destination.
It just doesn't feel realistic to me. And I understand.
People are saying North Carolina. I have no idea. I don't follow North Carolina football super closely.
Not many have until this year, because now you have a multi-Super Bowl winning head coach.
Does that feel like Belichick?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So I don't see it. Now, desperation does amazing things, but I don't see it.
Brian Murphy, who does cover North Carolina football, tweeted out over the weekend at UNC spring practice. You ready for this? Quarterback Max Johnson dressed out, threw some passes early in practice.
Yeah.
Belichick appeared to be getting mic'd up by girlfriend Jordan Hudson. No numbers on players. How great is that?
It's amazing. Think about how stressful that would be to try to figure out who's who. What if a guy just had a total loaf and he goes, Cubelic, why didn't you hustle? That wasn't me, coach.
Not me. I didn't do it.
That's you. I could tell it. No, that's not me. How do you know? I'd love for your future law students.
You tape your ankles like that?
No, that's not. I got skinnier ankles than him. He's a load. Like, what a disaster. What a disaster. I don't hate it, though. Just something to talk about. Here we are talking about it.
And literally just to make the media's life difficult.
Yes, just to make everyone's life difficult.
Only reason.
It's not even the media. It's also the coaches. Like, how are you tracking who's in what?
I mean, yeah. You make a good point there early on. It doesn't feel like that's a real part of it. Brian Kelly, LSU head football coach, after their spring activities, was asked about this situation in Knoxville.
Well, I think we're in this period of adjustment, right? I mean, I think we've got a settlement that is in the throes of being decided. The House settlement is coming close. That will bring us most likely some form of revenue sharing. I think there's changes coming in NIL. I think this is the first version of corrections, maybe. I think that we're going to see a lot of this. This was a new world, and I think we're going to navigate it the best that we can. But I think that there's going to be other situations that come, and we're just going to have to, do the best we can. I think there's going to be better information out there that will allow people to look at comps for positions and say, that makes sense, that doesn't make sense. And it'll allow us to navigate this a lot more reasonably moving forward, for good or bad. And people can make decisions. If you want to pay X, then that's what you can do. But I think this is the natural course that would happen when there weren't many guidelines out there. And moving forward, I think with the House settlement and, with a, potentially a clearinghouse for NIL, I think we'll see, a better place as we continue to move forward.
So Brian Kelly, with a pretty good thought, explanation, understanding of everything happening, doesn't mean he likes it, doesn't mean he wants it, but just kind of understands, Greg, that this is going to be a lot. This is kind of where we are until we get some sort of guidelines in place that can help with this.
And there's not a whole lot that can be done. But you have multi-year contracts. Like Nico had a multi-year contract. That was going on. And yet, in what business, what world are you capable of going and trying to create leverage against your, quote, employer multiple times a year? In what world is that ever okay? Believe me, I would love to walk into Ryan Haney's office right now and be like, I'm not coming to work tomorrow. Unless you show me that money. Show me that money. You know what? I have 6 reads today. I'm not coming to work tomorrow unless you give me 8. I need them funds. Big weekend. Had to watch a lot of Masters and drink a lot of beer. So I need them funds. Like, you can't do that. Guess what? We agreed to something. I worked for this amount. Cole works for this amount. Saber works for this amount. We don't get to go leverage whenever we want. We got to fix that. And it shouldn't be that hard to fix. I mean, purely for stability. Doesn't mean the kids can't get what their max value is, but there has to be some guidelines, like within reason, about, hey, you can get one raise a year, or twice a year. Why not? I don't even care. Just something, a little bit, just to calm it down a hair.
Greg Hendricks tweets in, what's sad is a lot of top schools are going to stay away from him. He's going to be punished because coaches don't want other players pulling this on them, so they're going to set an example out of him.
Why is that sad?
For the kid, it might be.
Okay.
I may agree with Greg from the individual player's perspective a little bit. If he is,
guess what?
A lot of this is guidance. If a lot of this is being pushed on him, which we don't know exactly.
But
how
sometimes you're a 21-year-old man. Sometimes you just got to figure out, hey, you know what's going on out there? Like, that's not what's best for me. They don't speak on my behalf. Like, do I have guidance from my parents? Do I have guidance from my agent? Do I have, I ask you for advice. You ask me for advice. Like, I take advice, but guess what? At the end of the day, I'm in charge of my own decision-making process. Like, I'm sad for him too, because I wish that he could have said, you know what, I'm in a pretty good situation here at Tennessee. Right. I went to the playoff last year at Tennessee. I'm a year away from potentially getting drafted at Tennessee. And now I have that bird in the hand and it looks pretty good. But you know what? The bird in the bush sounds pretty good as well. Like, he's got to be able to stand up and say, no, I'm not doing this, guys, I like where I'm at. Please let me just play this out. Like, that's what look, it's easier said than done. I'm a 36-year-old man.
Right. And I think his situation even a little bit more complicated than possibly some others.
Sure.
But for him individually, it is a little bit unfortunate just because if he's being pushed to sit out practice, not to go to practice, if he's being pushed to say, hey, we can't get a deal done, you're not playing there anymore, whether you want to or not, then that is unfortunate for him. And I hate that for him. And there are some individuals that it's more easy to do what you just said than it is for certain others and just say, you know what, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to walk away here. It's not always the case for a lot of different people. So we don't know exactly how things operate or exactly what that could be. But I am dare I say this is the most interested that I'll be in where a player in the portal ends up, and not necessarily just because of the player, because of everything that comes with it. I mean, there have been a lot of players like, you didn't think I was interested in where Caleb Downs was going to go or Quinshon Judkins was going to go, or I mean, there's been a lot of guys that we've been like, oh wow, Spencer Rattler, where's he going to end up?
Yeah,
like I'm interested to see it.
There's
but
more to it here, though.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it.
And it's just because it really will reveal the win at all cost mentality. You know what I mean? I hate to say that, but it's and look. All is fair in love, war, recruiting, and college football, right? All is fair. I totally get it. Shortcuts get taken. People do bad things because it's a win at all cost mentality. It is a dog-eat-dog world to the highest degree. Your best friend in the world would stab you in the back if you are a head coach, and yet that could make you better. That's your mentor will get stabbed in the back by his mentee if it could make his mentee's program more stable. Like that happens all the time. And it's a tough deal, but that's the way it goes. You bring Nico Iamaleava, you're bringing a lot of attention. And in many ways, unnecessary attention. Granted, the upside, amazing. We've talked about that. Great player, great not great player, great talent. Very different. It's there. Honest question, Cole Cubelic, you. Not to be confused with Pate State.
Not the same one.
Not the same. You have really high academic standards. Pate State, you fog in the mirror, you can get in. The Cole Cubelic, you have an average quarterback situation. Painting the picture. Average, solid. You're going to be fine at quarterback. Might not have a superstar.
Right. He's not winning games on his own.
But you're probably going to be all right. You know what? I'll give you Marcel Reed. That's your starting quarterback. Texas A&M starter, who, by the way, is solid, I think.
He's okay.
Okay, solid. Solid.
He's all right.
I'm not giving you Zach Calzada, all right? I'm giving you Marcel Reed.
Bigger arm.
Huge arm. You can have an immediate upgrade with Nico as far as skill set, or you can go with Marcel Reed. What are you doing?
I don't know if I can do it.
You can't bring him in.
And maybe even because of an extra added part that you sort of alluded to a little bit earlier but didn't mention just now, and that is, how are my peers going to react to that? How are the other coaches going to look at that? Because I think it invites more of that negative attention than maybe anyone's going to be comfortable discussing, in that people are going to look at it and say, hold on, this the guy that's holding out 2 days for your spring game and was potentially holding out for a playoff game, and you're just going to roll him in? Look what you're doing to us, man. You know how hard you're making our lives right now? Yeah. Now everybody just feel like that's okay because they're going to go end up at Cole State, and it's no big deal.
Cole Tech.
I
mean, but do you think this is really the thing? This is the unifying force amongst coaches?
Not unifying, Greg, but I do think that, and I think other coaches would point to it, say, look at that guy's bringing in his locker room.
Yeah.
And that could all go away with that coach doing it and him throwing for 3,600 yards and that team winning 10 games. Then everybody's like, well, you know what? Maybe his family had something figured out here.
Yeah.
Working for them.
I don't know. I think it's a tough deal, because I think if you can separate the sideshow, that's what people are going to get covered. This is going to be covered uniquely, and it's going to be highlighted. And the second he makes a mistake, he's like, I told you. You know what I mean? Like this is going to be so polarizing for all college football fans. That's what's amazing about this. This extends beyond Tennessee.
Yes.
This is a reset. And I think Paul used the appropriate term. This is kind of a reset of college football, where it's like, hang on a second, the schools and the coaches are really the ones in charge. And I think those that are in line with, hey, the schools and the coaches should ultimately be the biggest stories in the sport, and the players shouldn't be. Those that align with the former, it'll be interesting to see how people watch and cover and consume Nico's play this year, wherever he ends up. And I really do hope he ends up somewhere good. Like for him, like I'd hate for him to leave a good situation and end up in a terrible situation. That'd be such a bummer.
I would agree. And I think it is intriguing to look at now where some fits may be. Who's in the market that we think might not be Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, who are immediately going to slam that door. And a couple other schools have as well. We'll discuss some of that potential right after this on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hugh Freeze, Auburn head football coach, coming up in 12 minutes. Talk Auburn spring activities over the weekend. We'll talk some UFL next hour, continue talking a little bit more Masters, and then talking this Nico Iamaleava situation. If you were to look at potential landing spots, places where you feel like this may be a fit, may work, may be a spot that individual would try it or feel okay with it or just not care about it.
Yeah.
And would look at bringing them in. Where are some of those spots? Where are some of those schools? Who are some of those names that you feel like are even feasible?
North Carolina is my top spot because you have a new coach who I don't know how long Bill Belichick's going to be there. How long do you think Bill Belichick's going to be there?
I honestly, Greg, have no idea where to even put that. Like, do we Is he trying to get back to the NFL? Does he want another real shot at the NFL? Does he feel like that ship has sailed and he's just going to try to make his best run at a college football national championship or have the best couple of years there? Is he trying to set it up for his son? I don't know what the mindset is. Do I think he's going to be there more than 5? No, I don't. So you bring in a guy that can help you win now.
Yeah. So how much do you care about the long-term culture and health of the program? Like, by the way, I have no problem with transactional world of college football. Like, we've already gotten there. So, I mean, do I think that Bill Belichick's like all in on North Carolina? I don't know. I don't know. I hope. I don't know for sure, though. I have no clue. I do think that there is a scenario that could unfold where he brings him in, and it's not like North Carolina has an obvious answer at quarterback, by the way. They kind of need that guy. They bring him in, and a year, maybe 2, kind of jumpstart the program, and then kind of show everybody, hey, we are open for business too. I think that could be beneficial. So I think there's a lot of benefits that could be had in the event in which that's the direction he ends up going.
All right. I'm just going to do a random Twitter search here of where people think he's going to end up.
Yeah.
Cole Thompson, professional blabber, college football host at SEC Unfiltered.
Former intern.
Here?
Yeah.
Nice. Cole says,
heck yeah.
And again, I'm not saying these are right, wrong, indifferent, good, bad, but these are just people's ideas. USC, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame out.
He actually says parentheses, LOL, no, to Notre Dame. So I think he's taking other people's and then sort of responding. So, yeah, good for him for saying Notre Dame, LOL, no.
The Notre Dame thing is shocking, right?
Surprising.
What are we doing? Maybe we just know the program too well.
JD Piquel says USC, UCLA, Notre Dame.
Out. UCLA, I could see.
If you've been around Notre Dame at all, you don't even throw that name out there. I'm just going to say that. You don't even pretend like that's a real thing. You just don't.
You don't.
Not if you've been around Marcus at all. Paid any attention to how he operates. You just don't. I don't think the USC thing is real. I
think they're riding with Meava.
He did some good things.
He did a lot of good things.
Looked great in the bowl game.
He did a lot of good things.
Now the UCLA one, I would say there's so much new and different, so much that's happened there in the last 3 to 4 years.
No clue.
Who knows?
No clue.
Do they have the money?
I don't think so.
Another one that a couple of people I've seen throw out have been Colorado. Now, you guys can sit here and say about how loud and brash and different Coach Prime is. But if you read between the lines and really go listen all the time to the way that he asks his kids to operate and the things that he asks his kids to do, you think he's dealing with those kind of people behind the scenes?
I'm just going to tell you, a lot of people don't want to pay attention to it. Deion Sanders is a whole heck of a lot more Bobby Bowden philosophically than you realize.
He ain't about this life with all this renegotiate twice a semester and maybe sitting out playoff games. Did his 2 best players play or not play in the bowl game?
They played.
Okay. So I understand that there are a lot of parts of how Prime operates people don't like. He is not about this stuff. That's not him at all.
I don't know. Look, he's all about splash. I get it. Like, there's definitely a lot of splash that surrounds Colorado football. But if you really listen to him and you really, really pay attention to how he runs the program, and look, he's learning on the job. It's not like he's got this long tenured run as a head coach. Like, he's been kind of learning on the job. And in the meantime, he's just been trying to create more and more attention for his program. But at the root of what they want to be tough, physical, hard-nosed, team-centric. He will allow guys to be and show their personality. There's fine. But like he's a lot more like Bobby Bowden than people realize, I think, with how he approaches it.
Hey, and I understand that other folks will say, well, they did all this through the portal. They built through the portal. They said, yeah, but give me the guys that they went and overspent on. Like, that they got just because the checks they were throwing out. Like, Will Johnson was pretty good at Vanderbilt, but I mean, I don't think that USC and Tennessee and Notre Dame and Alabama were beating his door down. Right? I mean, they got some decent players, but they didn't go outbid Texas A&M for a bunch of guys.
No.
So I don't know if that one makes as much sense as I saw a lot of people sort of throwing them out as to they would. So the last one, Greg, that I did see, if I can find them quickly here in my search, I'll throw their names out. But I saw a lot of people throwing out Ohio State. And the only reason that I would entertain it right now is that, is it fair to say their quarterback situation is an uncertainty, is unknown at the time? I think that'd be fair, at least. Also, you have offensive coordinator who left. Do you go back to essentially thinking, having the mindset of, we got to be elite at quarterback if we're going to win? We know they'll spend.
I think that place has got a pretty good culture. And I just don't get the sense that they want to fly that close to the sun. I think Ryan Day really, really appreciates the culture that was created on the team last year. And I don't think he wants to mess with that. He wants to maintain that and sustain that. And as a result, they haven't been real active in the portal this year. I think they kind of like their young guys. They want to roll with them.
I'm glad you brought up flying close to the sun, because there's a story that I saw. I got to confirm that it's real first, that I think we should hit next hour. We won't do it when we come back, because that's going to be Hugh Freeze. Auburn head football coach, going to join us to break down their entire spring practice, his spring activities over the weekend, the future of spring games, and how his team's going to look this fall. Right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hour number 3 underway, 9 a.m. Jocks 94.5. Going to go right to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in Hugh Freeze, head coach of the Auburn football team. Had their spring get-together 8A game over the weekend. Coach, first, start off with the format, just kind of where you were with making that decision. We know spring games are changing across the landscape of college football. What exactly did you want to put together and get out of it, and how did you get to that decision?
Yeah, really, it's Cole and Greg. Thanks for having me first, and it's always good to be with you guys. But really, it's you get to this point, and you want to have a day where your young guys get most of the reps, but you get out of it healthy. And so it really wasn't much of a format. It was a normal practice. We had some Skelly move the ball, fringe periods, and then our young guys did some scrimmaging, about 20 plays, and then we went a little red zone lockout, good on good, to end it, and that was live. So that was some good work. But really, it was more of I wanted it to be a fan day for us, for our guys. It was a beautiful day in Jordan-Hare. Our fans showed up, and then after the practice, we got to visit with our fans there on the field for a couple hours. So it was a neat day.
Coach, what would you say going into this spring? What was the number one priority for you in trying to make sure that you guys made advancements in that area over the last 15 practices?
No question. Offensively, we harped on red zone scoring and obviously protecting the football. I think the most important thing about football practice, and this is the hardest thing for sometimes, defensive coaches, DJ's doing a great job there. The most important thing is that your quarterback is confident. And so, that was a big priority for me is, restoring, confidence in Jackson and start building it with Deuce. It was good just to have those two here. They got a ton of reps. And, but the emphasis was on, defensively, it was on critical downs. We were really good last year in a lot of areas on both sides, but the ones that failed us, that cost us from winning some games, were the turnovers and critical downs and red zone performance.
Hugh Freeze, Auburn head football coach, joining us on the Higginbotham hotline. I'm interested in your approach with Jackson. You got to know him a little bit in the recruiting process, obviously. Watched some film with him, talked to him, got to know a little bit of his personality. But once you got him on the field and then got him watching his own film that you had been coaching him on in your system, how did you alter your approach once practice got going? What were some of the coaching points that you sort of changed and wanted to try to emphasize with him through spring ball?
Yeah, the biggest thing was he already, was in a system that is very similar, and as far as the fundamentals of the mechanics of the quarterback position. So it wasn't the man, and I loved all of his mechanical stuff. Kent is very good at helping with that, but truthfully, when I watched the film, I was like, Kent, I don't want to change anything with this kid on the way he handles the ball, his fundamentals. The thing we've got to do is get him confident to be the leader of our team, and that's what we need to work on the most, is what does he feel comfortable with, and helping him obviously with his progressions and things. But what I found out, Cole, when we started is Jackson wants to be coached hard, and he's hard on himself, and probably a little bit too hard on himself. Needs to restore that swagger that he had, being the Gatorade Player of the Year. And I think we saw that this spring. He started having a swagger about him and confident that he is one of the elite players in the country.
Well, he's always had the talent, but you referenced the confidence and not allowing one bad play to materialize into two, and not being gun shy and not being afraid to make a mistake. I feel like it's a very delicate thing to deal with, Coach, and I really don't know how you do it, but in your experience, how easy is it to get a guy to believe in himself yet again?
That's the difficult thing, Greg. I don't know that there's I think everyone is different, but he has shown me this spring he has the capacity to make every throw. He has the mental IQ to be a really good field general at the quarterback position. So he has the tools and he has the legs to extend plays. So now it's about, man, you have the giftings. So now be confident in the plan and who you are. And I think it will be very, very vital that we formulate a plan, going into the early games like Baylor and who we play early, that he is so comfortable with. Matter of fact, I'm truthfully starting this week to go on and have a plan kind of in place for game one for him. And so that he is so confident in it. But he's got the tools, and I don't know that I can put my finger on an exact formula to regain confidence without success, truthfully. And so I think it's going to have to come, as the season comes, and hopefully the switch is flipped. I've seen it. He's very confident right now, and we just got to maintain that.
Hugh Freeze, head football coach for the Auburn Tigers, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Coach, he's got a good cast around him, offensive line, got some veterans, has a chance to take a big step this year. We know the talent at that wide receiver core. What places, what spots on that offense did you walk away from the spring feeling more confident in?
Yeah, I think we obviously have the most complete offense by position since we've been there, since we've been here. But through recruiting, I think our wide receiver room is elite. Our offensive line room should be very, very solid. We obviously Connor Liu, and we didn't have him this spring, nor X, who we got from the portal, and they both had surgeries. But that's another reason I think spring practice should be pushed till June. I keep beating that drum, but I think we're, offensively we've got the pieces there, and that's another thing. Back to the other point on the quarterback play is, I don't think we have to have a guy just that has to do everything. Just make the plays that are there, and I think we're good enough at the position at running back, O-line, and receiver to make plays for him, around him. So I'm kind of confident in our depth on offense, and obviously we've still got to be effective in running the ball that we've been. And losing Jarquez is a hit, but love what I saw from Damari and Jeremiah in spring.
Well, you talked about the receiver position, and I think all of us think it could be one of the most improved position groups in the sport. And I loved Keandre Lambert-Smith. I think everybody did. He was extremely productive for you guys. But with the addition of Eric Singleton, with the continued development of Cam Coleman and Perry, the other quality weapons that you have that from a depth standpoint that you can use in a bunch of different ways, how much better will that group be collectively when you guys tee it up in the fall?
Yeah, I think, obviously Keandre Lambert-Smith was, I thought, really, really special. And we've got to replace that. But this spring, I tell you, Greg, Eric Singleton can do so many things. And the things we used to do at Ole Miss and other places, I think he gives us the flexibility to do some of those things. Obviously, having Cam out there and Perry and Malcolm, I think, we've got to obviously keep those guys healthy, but those guys can make plays, and they did it all spring long, the 50-50 balls. And I tell you, one to watch for is Horatio Fields. He really had a phenomenal spring also. And so I'm excited about Sam Turner too, the freshman. So I think that room is elite, and Malcolm and Cam and Perry continue to improve their learning IQ of the game and how to run routes. And so I thought the rapport with them and Jackson and Deuce was really came along really nicely this spring, and that room is going to have to be special for us.
Coach, one thing that I think people sort of bypass with players coming out of the portal, like you mentioned Eric Singleton, we know physically what he's capable of doing. We've seen him, carry the football, catch the football, how he can run. Last year, I got word that you got great leadership out of the portal. Guys like Jaron Thompson at safety and what he added vocally, accountability-wise. A couple of the receivers you brought in, sort of the same thing. Robert Smith, Keandre Lambert-Smith, what those guys just brought from a leadership mentality and maybe behavioral standpoint. Are there guys that you need that out of again this year? Is that something that's going to become more important through the portal year after year?
Yeah, I think it's important that if you go to the portal, you get guys that fit your culture and are going to help drive it for sure, the standards. We're fortunate now. I have, guys that have been with me a couple of years that I think, can have the capacity to do that. So, you think of a Keldrick Falk right now, there's no question he is the voice of the defense. He's been with us 2 seasons. He's been in our culture, and he's on our culture council. And so you've got him and Robert Woodyard over there that have been there with us. And so it's not like I have to have that from the portal, but when you do go to the portal, you sure hope. We did need some of that last year, but I don't know that that's a need we have, but you sure don't want to subtract from it. So
right.
If you go and add to it, you just want to make sure that the fit is right. Offensively, our O-line is, Connor Lew and Jeremiah, and D Wade have taken the leadership role there. And Damari is an incredible leader from the running back position. And Horatio, speaking of portal guys, he's kind of come in, and he's kind of the father figure, older guy in that receiver room that's kind of driving that standard. Not that the others are not wanting to, like Cam, they are. They're but he's that older guy that's been through the battles that has kind of taken Keandre's place in the voice in that room also.
Coach, with everything that's gone on the last 3 or 4 days, with players entering the portal 2 days before their spring game, and we're not going to go into the specifics on the situation at Tennessee. I know you're, of course, aware of it. But I'm just curious from your vantage point, you're trying to make sure that you have guys that are all in. You're trying to make sure that you have guys that are all rowing in the same direction. And I know that that's difficult nowadays. I understand the realities of the situation. But how would you handle, and how have you handled guys that approach you that are unhappy with their deal prior to going into a pivotal moment or before a portal opens? Like, how have you handled it? What's your philosophy on it?
Yeah, it's I think every case is a different case, and I don't think there's one cookie cutter answer. I think everyone is different, and you have to, manage the value that they bring to the team with what they're obviously envisioning themselves. Truthfully, I've tried to stay out of most of the monetary discussions. I let our general manager do that, and he'll come to me and I try to get them to work it out, because, man, I found that I want to have a pure, genuine relationship with the player and be able to coach him. And that's been the hardest thing for me, is that if I get too deep in those discussions, I start viewing it differently, and I don't want to view it differently. But obviously I have to get in the ones where they want to go in the portal, and, we talk through it with them. Obviously, if it's, there's only so many things we can do at this point. If it's solely driven by a financial deal, then I probably need to let them go. And if it's not, then we want to try to work it out. But you again have to look at your depth chart. Everybody does. It's real. This is real life now. And man, it may be better for them to move on. And then others, you're going to fight like heck to prove to them this is the right place and the right fit. But at the end of the day, if it comes down just to, I'm getting more money over here somewhere, then we're probably not going to wait. And I hate that. I do. And I wish like heck we could get some structure around this sooner than later. Hopefully this settlement will go through, and man, we can get some contracts that have to be honored. And for the life of me and the other coaches, we're not real sure. We begged for, why can't we just have an agreement among the power forward ADs that, look, if a kid leaves while under contract, you guys have got to, pay back the value of that contract. And that would stop some of this, because I don't know that we can sustain what we're doing now, nor is it healthy for anyone in the sport to continue doing what we're doing.
No doubt, Coach. It's complicated. I don't think anybody would disagree with that, and there's obviously a lot to it. We appreciate the time this morning. Thanks for hanging out with us, and look forward to having you back again soon.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
War Eagle. There you go. Hugh Freeze, Auburn head football coach, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. So follow up a little bit with what Coach Freeze said about his spring. I think that's some good news, what you got on a couple of individual guys, a couple of guys maybe that we have not brought up and discussed a lot. We'll continue that conversation next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Great stuff from Hugh Freeze there, Auburn head football coach, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Takeaway for me there, Greg, may be Horatio Fields, a name that he threw out for us. I don't think that's the name that a lot of people go to when they're talking about Auburn skill position players. That could be a guy that maybe extends a little bit or does a little bit that people don't feel like some of the other receivers are going to do inside this offense. And he could be a guy all of a sudden that shows up and gives you even more on that offense.
Well, they went gone for a reason. I don't think they got him just for depth. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that there's all likelihood he's probably going to have a pretty pivotal role. And guess what? It's going to be tough to spread the ball around. They have so many good weapons. It's a great situation to be in if you're Auburn.
He's a little bit of a bigger target that you get from Wake Forest, 6'3", 205. So bigger, more physical wide receiver that you bring in. And Malcolm Simmons apparently had a good day. We know what Cam Coleman's capable of. We know what Perry Thompson's capable of. You've got Bryce Kane. And then he kind of mentioned him, Greg. Eric Singleton, sort of the Swiss Army knife of this offense now, can carry the ball You can get him in the backfield, throw it to him out of the backfield. He's a good enough receiver to have routes go deep down the field, kind of take the top off. He can just change so much of what this offense is. And honestly, just make Jackson Arnold's life so much easier with some of the high percentage throws, handoffs, push passes that he's going to be able to give him.
Yeah, and I would anticipate Singleton, for example, being used in 100 different ways. I mean, if I were coaching Singleton, I would do whatever it takes to try to figure out a way to get him involved. At least 10. He's like a touch guy. You know what I mean? Like I need boxes to check how many touches he gets. Like he's got to get 10 to 15 touches a game. Has to. And if I manufactured those with handoffs or quick throws behind the line of scrimmage, extended handoffs, that's all great. That's wonderful. But I would think that he's a guy that has to get touches. And I think you have a guy like Fields that could stretch the field a little bit. And then you got Cam Coleman and Perry, who I think are also excellent. You got some slot guys that can go. Like, I think they should feel really good about where they're at as far as weapons are concerned.
Talking Auburn offense here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:21 a.m. Monday, April 14th. So what does the success lean on most right now? Is it offensive line coming together and being a little bit better? Is it? I mean, it's easy to just say quarterback if he's good or bad. That's lazy. I don't want to have that conversation with you. I want to go a little further. Is it Jackson Arnold getting the ball out of his hand? Is it the offensive line being able to protect, open up in the run game? Is it one of the running backs being close to what Jarquez was when he actually got the ball last year? What's the intricate detail of this offense right now that you're looking at saying, if they get that part, if that shows up and that part is B plus A minus, then this offense could be what a lot of people think it can be? Because you brought it up, in my opinion, Greg, and it's confidence. It's quarterback confidence.
Yeah, I think quarterback confidence is huge. I think quarterback's the key. I mean, like in this offense, I think they're still going to be able to run the ball well. I love their weapons. I think the offensive line has a chance to be pretty good. I know we might not get the best look at that right now with some of the absences this spring, but I'm not concerned about the O-line. Like the O-line, I think once you got left tackle fixed last year was not really an issue. It was fine. I think quarterback's the big question marks. I think, and I know that this is an unpopular take, I think their quarterback play last year was remarkably underrated. You're going to sit there and say, well, Peyton Thorne, what are you talking about? He turned the ball over like crazy. I agree. There were a couple games. There were a couple games in which he did not take care of the football. I understand that. And I can completely understand your sentiment towards him with how he played in those games. But holistically, throughout a 12-game season, I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as people like to make it out to be. I really don't see it that way. I think he did some decent things at times. And while, yes, I hated the performance in the Cal game, I don't think all the interceptions were on him. Yes. Do I think he should have been benched the following week? No, I don't. Do I think he should have gotten the start against Arkansas? Yes. I think if he started against Arkansas, well, you probably had a pretty decent chance to win the game. Like, I think all those things can be true. So I think what they had last year at quarterback was fine. I also don't think that it's going to be hard for Jackson Arnold to be as good as Peyton Thorne was. But like the same conversation we had about Nico, I think Jackson Arnold's ceiling is higher.
Right.
Which is super encouraging. But I think those that look at this say, oh, it's an automatic upgrade at quarterback. I'm not willing to go that far just yet because I think Peyton Thorne was better than you realize. And I also think that the confidence thing is a powerful thing for sure.
If there was one question I wanted to get to with Coach Freeze that we didn't, and maybe I can remember to ask him this the next time we have him on. How do you find that, Greg?
Confidence?
And I don't know when you either had less of it, more of it during different times in your career, but let's go to the times that you don't feel like you had a ton of it and the times that maybe it dipped a little bit. How could a coach get it back without playing in games, mind you? Because, yeah, you can go out there and win games, and, of course, everybody's confidence is going up. That's no problem. Before you get to that point, though, how does Hugh Freeze get the confidence back from Jackson Arnold?
Well, I didn't grow up in an era in which people cared about your feelings. So, like, I mean, I hate to break it to you. Let me tell you what Nick Saban wasn't worried about is making me feel good about myself. Ever. Like, it was not a thing that mattered to him. You figure it out. Like, man up, figure it out. And there were times we won games and I didn't have confidence. Like, I remember having a 2 or 3 game stretch in 2009 that just didn't play very well. Didn't see the field very well. Defenses were making big adjustments. What we practiced all week was very different from what we saw on game day. And I did not know how to hit the curveball at that point. I had started 4 games. You know what I mean? Once you start those first 4 games, hey, defense is running what we did in practice. This is great. then all of a sudden you have to face, Monty Kiffin. And you're like, God, this is different. Where's the Tampa 2? Like, that's what we practiced. Why are they blitzing the strong safety? They never did that.
Right.
Then we had to play, Ellis Johnson and Steve Spurrier at South Carolina. And they're all of a sudden selling out against the pass with Stephon Gilmore. I'm like, well, why are they? No, you're supposed to have to run. Like, I'm supposed to have good looks. Like, I'm supposed to have one-on-ones. Like, why are we doing roll late, cover 2 quarters? Rolls late. What happened to that? That's not what we practiced.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like freaking out, and it took me 2 or 3 games to get over it. And then we played against Kentucky at one point. Kentucky, the wind was blowing 45 miles an hour. It's like, I'm throwing it as hard as I can. It's not getting where it needs to go. Then you play Greg Hardy in Ole Miss, and he takes my head off on the first play of the game. And it's like, who's that guy? You know what I mean? And then, so there's like a 2 or 3 game stretch there where I'm like, golly, I'm not seeing the field very well. I got to play faster. Then the bye week happened, and I was able to focus on myself and kind of get back to just, all right, don't worry about what you're playing against. Worry about you. And that was the greatest thing ever, to have that week to just focus on me, focus on my processes. And from that point forward, played really well. But I needed a bye week to get out of it, man. It's hard as a young guy, especially with all the weight of the world and the expectations on your shoulders to try to figure it out. It's not easy at all.
No. And sometimes it takes time to find that confidence. Sometimes that confidence is not easily found and not easily brought back. And obviously the game, playing in it, being successful in it, actual game is what's going to be easiest to bring that to you and to get it from. But it's you got to find ways to get a little bit before it actually happens at the same time. So we'll see if Jackson Arnold's confidence gets there. I mean, I think, I would say letting go of the football, but I think the confidence is what actually allows that to take place. It's big. And I'm glad Coach Freeze brought it up, because it's a point of emphasis that I wanted to talk about, that I think we need to talk about, that is going to be very real with what kind of player he can be this upcoming season. Your CBD store, very real. If you need products for arthritis, for anxiety, for you or your pet, they've got them right there at the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. We've had a couple pets in my house that have had trouble getting around the house. Couple of those treats, couple days in a row from your CBD store, and they're up moving a little bit better. You can tell they feel better. They can help your pets the same way. They can help you move around the same way. Better sleep, better focus throughout the course of the day. Your CBD store has products that can help with all of that. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. They've got the stamp seal on those products. So go check out one of their 3 locations today. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver. Trustful just off 459, your CBD store, where good health hits home. Continue talking confidence, but I would like to ask the listeners this. Would you take this trip? A couple people did today. I'll ask if you would next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Monday, April 14th, 9:31 a.m. Saw this report a little bit earlier and had to kind of confirm that it was real. So I'll ask if you have any interest in this. The Blue Origin took off today.
Yes.
With a star-studded cast.
Really?
Celebrity. John?
Like 1.5.
Katy Perry was on board. Gayle King was on board. That's Amanda Wynn.
I'm not super familiar with
I actually went to high school with an Amanda Wynn, but spelled differently.
So not related.
No.
Okay.
Aisha Bowe. You were the girl that I never had.
I will admit I am unfamiliar with most of the
And I want to
crew.
let you know that so bad. Nobody got that.
Don't.
Not even John. That was over your head.
Maybe a bit.
Aisha, you were the girl that I never had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I want to get to know you so bad. I don't know who that was. Was that Boyz II Men, Color Me Bad? Who was singing? I don't know.
I thought it was Trace Atkins, man. I don't know.
Definitely not Trace. Carrie Ann Flynn, Lauren Sanchez.
Lauren Sanchez is his girlfriend. Bezos.
Aisha's?
Bezos.
Good.
Fiance, maybe. They might be married.
Don't know. The Blue Origin is a tourism rocket that is going into space. And it has safely landed back down on the ground, of which Katy Perry appeared to immediately vape and then kiss the ground.
Yes.
Which leads us to one conclusion and one conclusion only. I don't trust Katy Perry.
That's not the conclusion I came to. The fact that they were all so relieved and excited to be on the ground made me think that the trip in Blue Origin is probably not very fun. Something tells me is it probably feels pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Something tells me that maybe that fall back down to earth amidst parachutes and other things is not super cozy.
Fall or descent?
I'm not super big fan of heights and or dangers that could shorten my life. Not my thing. Not for me.
Okay.
So I'm not super fired up about being involved in some type of launch from West Texas to go to the moon and back.
You don't feel the need to go to space, is what you're saying.
I personally don't know. But what I'm trying to figure out is that they got to the Kármán line 62 miles above Earth's surface, and they had 4 minutes of weightlessness before they came back to Earth.
Okay.
They were literally gone for 10 minutes.
Would you, I mean,
thereabouts.
Do you need it to be longer? Do you want to just go hang out in space?
I mean, if I'm going to space, I'm trying to go to space.
No.
You're out?
No dabble, no stick the toe in, just plunging in.
Like, is there something you want to go see? Do you just need more time that you're at zero gravity? What's the goal here that you're trying to get to?
I don't know. Not sure I can answer that.
Okay. Just fair. Totally fair.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, what did you have to do to be included on this mission? Because that's what they're calling it, a mission.
Okay.
I want to know that. Did you know that on the patch there's a firework honoring Katy Perry's song?
Why wouldn't there be, Greg?
Because that's what I really want to happen to my rocket. Is it to be a firework?
Don't do that. Don't even pretend.
Wow.
I'm not. I mean, I would have. If I'm her, I'd pick another song. Don't chance it.
What song are you picking?
Anyone but that one.
Peacock?
Sure.
I don't know.
Dark Horse.
Are you excited about this, Cole? Are you signing up?
How much?
If they come to you and they say, you know what?
They let me take a celebrity trip?
We did the all female crew. We're going to go with the all O-line crew.
That's a no. Don't need to weigh that thing down. No.
Well, all you guys, it has to be a lineman.
I want to go with the PGA professional crew, and then me.
There you go.
Or the jockey crew.
The jockey crew is a good one.
Bunch of 111 pounders, and then me. I don't need to be weighing that thing down. No.
I'd be pretty stressed out. I don't really like coming in for landing on a small airplane, let alone a rocket ship.
What? How many of these flights have they had before this? Do we know? How many
At least a
successful?
few. I mean,
well, I want more than 3.
I feel like there's been double digits. This is the one Shatner went up, Strahan went up. I feel like they've had several. And going into this, I was originally out because not only is this going up into space, which it feels a little scary, but also, if I recall, this is unmanned. This is basically a Tesla going up. And so, if something goes wrong, you just got the celebrities in here. I don't know. But
that makes it a little less desirable.
Which I thought too. But then, if Bezos is sending his girl up there, you know what? Okay. Maybe it's trustworthy.
I know he probably got the prenup and whatnot, but
that would be a good Matlock episode. Yeah.
Did you know at the time? Yeah, I think it would be really cool to do. I just don't. I think I'd have to say no to that one. Sorry, guys.
I just don't get it.
Well, you're going to space. It's weightlessness. I do think there are aspects of it that would be pretty cool. Like you're telling me when you don't see footage of these astronauts at the space station, you don't think to yourself that'd be pretty sweet?
Yeah. I think it would be kind of fun, but at the same time, still not really 100% certain what the goal is. To go to space, get it. If that's your thing, totally get it. Some people want to go see the Titanic too. But I'm just trying to figure out, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah, I don't need to go. I feel like we've all learned our lesson on the Titanic thing, right? Hopefully.
Well, if you're going to go with a credible company.
Funny you mention, I think the anniversary is today or something.
Oh no.
There's some 3D image they just did that says how it really looks on the bottom of the ocean floor, which why don't we have pictures of it on top of the ocean?
What?
Why do we care what it looks like now?
You're talking about the Titanic.
By the way, this is semi-interesting before we take our last break. So when I did my first game in DC, we stayed down by, I don't even know what it's called, the Harbor or something. I believe you and I did a game there and we stayed in that hotel. I don't know. Maybe that was after you were gone. It's a nice hotel. It's a great little area too. It's really cool. And I was like, well, I'm going to go walk just to get some steps in. And then this is a cool place to kind of walk around on the water, whole deal. And it said Titanic Memorial. And it had a sign with an arrow this way. I was like, here? Number one, didn't really understand that. But okay, cool. That wasn't the destination, correct?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So I keep walking down. I see this statue it looks like an old statue in Rome that you would see of just a person that's kind of looking to the left or something. And I walk up and it was Titanic Memorial. And that was it.
Why wouldn't it be?
Into the sidewalk, statue, a little place you could sit down. And I couldn't help but think to myself, I need some explanation on this.
I'm going to need you to walk me through that one.
Why was this the place that we wanted to put this? And why that statue of that person? I don't know. But there it was. Okay. Now you know. When we come back, we will finish up our Masters talk, some UFL talk to close it out for the day. Next, Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, some UFL action over the weekend. Actually had a couple good games over the weekend. Birmingham sneaks out a win, 10-9 over Arlington on Friday night. Birmingham gets to 2-1. Arlington also at 2-1. Houston gets their first win of the season. Nolan Henderson going to be the quarterback moving forward there, as we heard stated in the postgame. 18-17. Memphis now 0-3 on the season. I was in Detroit yesterday. By the way, Ford Field, beautiful. First time I've been. Have you been to Ford Field?
Played there 3 times. Left my PCL there a couple of years back.
Simple, yes. What
Did
is
you
the
snag it for me?
Nope, just had to dump.
You want to finish it out there, Greg?
No,
Go ahead and take the
I'm
rest of
mad
the
at
game.
it. No, just ruined. I mean, it ruined my career. Ford Field did.
Game day.
If I don't
men's
get
health.
hurt against the Detroit Lions in 2013, my career looks different. Or not.
Game day men's health.
changed.
If you have been completely shown up by your host on your show, you can go there. Maybe they'll help your feelings if you're feeling on edge or got your feelings hurt. It could be the effects of low testosterone. They can help with that. If you need a weight loss program, they've got that. The peptides to give you more energy, maybe help with your skin, anti-aging, all available now at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get a free consultation today, and they'll help you out with the free PSA test, free testosterone test to find out exactly where your health is, and they're going to help you get it better. They can do that at Game Day Men's Health, holistic approach to health and wellness. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today, see exactly what they can do for you. Yes, I asked if you had been to Ford Field. I played there twice. My bad. Just right there back at me.
Golly.
Just a complete clothesline.
Why are you so mad?
Just a clothesline.
It's not that big a
In the
deal.
final segment of the show.
Why are you so mad?
I'm not mad. It's real. It's what happened.
I do like it there, though. It's nicer than you realize.
Huge.
Detroit in general, I will say this, hot take. I actually kind of liked going to Detroit. Went there a few times. It's actually kind of a nice place. More so than I was anticipating. Downtown, little sketchy areas for sure, but they got a casino pretty close. Like they got stuff going on down there. Been there a few times. You've been to Detroit a few times?
It was my second
Great
time
hotel.
going. It was a cool hotel, yeah. It was my second time being there, and the first time I was there was the Jerome Bettis coin flip game on Thanksgiving. That was the only other time that I was there. So that was my first trip to Ford Field.
Remind me what happened there.
The official said tails. He called heads, and the official gave the coin flip to Detroit.
Yeah.
Jerome called heads, and it was heads. Like they completely botched it.
That's hilarious.
They have audio video of it. Just totally botched it.
So awkward.
It was definitely. But yeah. Anyway, the game, which we thought was going to be a bit of an expletive show for San Antonio, even though they go to 0-3, Peyton Pardee did a really nice job. Bryce Perkins had to come in for an injured Danny Etling. He went 17 of 23 for 193, had 2 rushing touchdowns. The zone read was pretty good for the Michigan offense. How about this, Greg? Michigan now 2-1 this season. They are 9-1 in the UFL against all teams not named Birmingham. They are 0-4 against Birmingham. And San Antonio had 18 total points their last 2 games. He had 23 in this game, nonetheless. And then the Battle of the Undefeateds, the DC Defenders get the win against the St. Louis Battlehawks, 27-15. St. Louis had just 143 total yards, 45 rushing yards, and was not great. Jordan Te'amu, 17 of 23, 243, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. First 3 touchdown game of his UFL career. Manny Wilkins, 16 of 29, 147 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions.
Doesn't matter. Let it rip. Interceptions don't lose you games.
That is tied for the most interceptions ever in a UFL game.
Oh, my.
I just read you the records here.
Why you got to do that?
I give you the records. That's
Why you got to do that?
That's all I can do is give you the records. It's the only thing I can do.
UFL is only 2 years old.
Only a couple of years.
13 games in. So, okay,
it's
a
the
record.
most ever. I'll let people know.
Fine. Fair enough. But either way.
I did want to give you a little bit of time, though, to go back to the Masters and Rory McElroy being able to wrap up the career Grand Slam because of the Nico Iamaleava situation. We have not spent a ton of time on it today, but this is what you said you wanted. This is the guy you were rooting for, the guy that you picked to win it, and he was able to pull it off.
Yeah, really pumped for him. You know, I think the emotions for him.
Because you have hugged him as Taylor Zarzo told us last week.
Yes, one arm hug. Bro hug.
Hug's a hug, man.
I believe it's referred to as a dap.
Bro hug's different than a hug.
Okay.
Hug's a 2-armed hug. Stomach to stomach. This was not that. Arm was in the middle. Arm was in the middle. Bro.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't cheek to cheek.
You got a stick blocking the tummy. So
Yes.
Got it.
Correct. So, yeah, I'm really happy for him, dude. I can't even imagine in a game that's that mental, right? In a game that's that mental, you play so well on Saturday, come out, make 6 consecutive threes, to hit it in the bunker on 3 different occasions on the front 9. You missed carrying the bunker on 1 by a yard. You missed carrying the bunker on 2 by a yard. And you missed carrying the bunker on 8 by a yard. I mean, it was kind of one of those remarkably unfortunate rounds. So it would have been very easy for things to kind of go off the rails. It would have been very simple for Rory to kind of sit there and say, this is not meant to be. And it happened most of the time. And he kind of gathered himself, made a couple birdies there on the front, made a couple birdies on 9 and 10, gets to 11, 12, gets through the hardest point, and then he gets to 13. He lays up. He's sitting there with a wedge in his hand, a hole that he had, made eagle on 100 times, and made eagle on the hole earlier in the week. He hits a wedge, one of the worst wedge shots probably in his career, into the creek from like 85 yards away. I mean, Cole, you, me, Bear, Damian, you give us a wedge in our hand, the likelihood of us hitting in the creek from that point is probably unlikely.
Yeah.
For a tour pro, it's like 99.999% likely that ball lands on the green. So it was crazy. But to see how he regroups from that, he survived that, made a birdie on 17 that was massive, threw a dart there, and of course made the bogey on 18, but coming back after missing the green right on 18 in regulation to come back and throw a dart to within about 3 feet was pretty amazing, man. I was really happy for him. And you could just sense the relief and the emotion leave him as he finished that putt on 18. He's one of the greatest of all time. But I do think he has had his challenges mentally from time to time. His focus from time to time does ebb and flow, but it's great for golf. You know, I mean, I don't think any of us need to be diehard golf fans. I'm never going to be as big a fan in golf as I was when Tiger was at his peak. It's never going to be like that again for me, but I'm hoping that my kids get hooked on golf. Like, I want that for them. It's a game that can give you a lot of great moments the rest of your life. And I don't know who the heck they're going to gravitate towards, if you want me to be honest with you. Like, we gravitated towards Tiger.
Right.
That was easy. And those that were, the contrarians gravitated towards Phil. That's fine. Who the heck was going to be that for our kids' generation? And I'm hoping that Rory and Scotty can invigorate a rivalry that would be tremendous for the game moving forward.
And two, think about the different ways of consumption now than what we had. We had just your traditional tournaments and maybe an interview every now and then. Now you have the Netflix specials. Now you have guys are going to have their own YouTube channels. I mean, you got a guy trying to hit a ball over his house for a hole-in-one for every day for 300 straight days, whatever it was. I mean, you got all these different social media. I mean, you could just follow your favorite golfer on Instagram and you have a whole different viewpoint of what he is or he's about or his personality than we ever had with guys we were watching growing up.
No.
So it's the ways in which you're going to have now you have competing tours, which these guys might not even going up against one another near as much as we had guys going up against one another. So, and those rivalries are what, similar to college football, made different eras of golf great. I mean, Tiger, Phil, we remember those. And then that divided a lot of the golf fan bases. Jack and Arnie divided a lot of golf fan bases, and there were people who were split on that. They wanted one guy to lose, they wanted one guy to win. It's one thing that kind of annoys me about golf, to be perfectly honest with you, is how there are not oftentimes there's not a guy to root against. Like, I think to have good competition, you have to have somebody to root against.
Yeah.
And oftentimes in golf, it's like similar to yesterday. Like, you're watching that gallery, they're all rooting for Rory. And what happened Saturday afternoon when Bryson was walking back up after the 18th tee, he's high-fiving everybody. I mean, all you saw on social media was like, Bryson gets it. He's got the people on his side. All right, well, I like rooting against him. I'm not afraid to admit it.
That's great.
I feel like you have to have a guy to root against to have great competition and to have great events. So if that's what it is and that's what it takes, then it'll be cool moving forward. But it is an interesting point that you bring up of how are our children going to even know who to root for or who's good, who's bad, who's cool, who's not, why you like a guy, why you don't. It'd be totally different for them than it was for us.
Totally. And there's no villains. All the guys are kind of nice guys. They're all kind of cookie cutter, if you want me to be honest.
Well, the one villain might be too much of a villain to actually even root for.
Patrick Reed?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's the
You're
villain.
stealing people's wallets out of the locker room. I just can't.
Yeah, he's a villain, but Bryson was a villain there for a little bit. I mean, like, I think you need personalities. Like, no one's going to watch the WWE, which is entertainment, by the way. I hate to break that to folks, but nobody's going to watch it if you didn't have heels. Like who you root?
Yeah, you're not a bunch of good guys going up against each other.
If Cody Rhodes is going against Braun Breaker, who the heck cares? You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like if everybody's a good guy and everybody's favorable, then what the heck are we watching it for?
Yeah.
Like, you need good versus evil. That's the tale as old as time. You need good versus evil.
Exactly. If Hogan had to wrestle Jimmy Superfly Snuka and Hillbilly Jim every week, it would have never worked.
Nobody would have cared.
We needed Iron Sheik. We needed King Kong Bundy and Nikolai Volkov.
Correct.
Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff wasn't the guy you needed going up against him.
And you need Andre the Giant, too. Don't forget about him.
He turned heel late.
Yes, he turned heel that match.
Face for a long time. Yes.
But you can't have a bunch of baby faces, and that's what the tour has right now. So I'm hopeful that Rory can continue to be that baby face.
Damn baby face.
And we just establish a couple more heels. I want to take control of the editorial content on this, golf thing. Because then we could, we'll just make all these guys look terrible, and you can hate everybody. It'd be amazing.
A bunch of AI.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, this guy punched a kid in the face as he's walking off the 18th. How did I not see that?
Greg tried to go heel early with Ford Field.
Why?
Tried.
No, that was just straight humble brag.
It wasn't even a humble brag. You asked me if I'd been there. I said, been there. Yeah, twice. Played there twice. Not a humble brag.
I threw it back in my face a little bit.
Oh, my God.
That was a heel move. Just saying.
I'll be the heel. I don't care. As long as you're
We're
listening.
back tomorrow. 3-man front is coming to you next.